disappointed in every one of you.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend you.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I kiss you on the mouth.
No, I'm not cool with that. I'm sorry.
One more time.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I mean, I'm dealing with degenerate animals.
I'm disappointed in every one of you. Disappointed in every one of you.
All right, come on.
Honestly, I can't do it no more.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
Let me tell you why.
It's gonna be all right, Nicky. Go ahead, shoot.
He just killed a fucking man.
What are you going to do about it?
You're happy because you got nothing. You don't got a thing. You're happy because you got nothing. Lobito! Got nothing.
I want to get out of this rat hole. I want to get online. I need
BDA Boxing.
We've been fighting 400 and still fighting to this day. To this day. Hey.
Bleeds, we can kill it.
I don't want to see you, fat face. Get out.
Alright, this is King Bucho. Welcome to BDA Boxing, the boxing debate arena. In this episode, we will be discussing a very important question. Whether or not this current heavyweight division is garbage, or are people just hating because of the current roster of heavyweight boxers that we have. But anyways, first of all, shout out to people in the chat: Saint Brit, Michael Stott, Triple JJJ, Stephen Lawler, Lobito Dan Boxing, Gonzalo, Buddy Aces, Duck, the shipper of the Bay Boxing, that should be Bay Area Boxing. Alright guys, let's begin. So the phone lines are gonna be open in a few minutes. Actually, let's start right now. Let's get this show on the road. And I'm gonna call Gonzalo. I guess he always picks up. So Gonzalo, I'm gonna call you. Actually, send me a message and then I'll call you, because you have like 3 accounts. I don't know which one is the one you're using now. And what else? Guys, we're gonna be posting, well, BDA is gonna be posting a fight analysis video of the Joshua and Joshua and Ruiz. They're gonna be fighting, so obviously he made a video analysis. It's gonna be posted on BDA Live. If you are not subscribed to BDA Live, go ahead and do so. We have 2 channels, one with the purple logo and one with the orange logo. The second one is called BDA Live. Go subscribe to BDA Live right now. What else? If you guys like the show, don't forget to support us through PayPal, Patreon, or via the Super Chats. And if you can't support us through those means, then just like, subscribe, and share the video with your friends. Let's see what people are saying in the chat. I don't know. Hey guys, okay, so Do you want us to stick with this topic throughout the whole episode for like an hour and then switch it up, or stick with this topic? Because it might get controversial, I think. I mean, some people some people believe that Wilder is one of the best heavyweights of all time. Right. Let me call Gonzalo. Getting started. And listen, I talked to Mr. BDA about the idea of today's show, and he agreed that it's a good question, topic. I have 2 ring magazines over here. One ring magazine from 2008 and one from 2009. And what I want to do, guys, is first of all just go to the rankings. So this magazine is from October 2009. Ring magazine. Heavyweight division. We have Vladimir Klitschko as the champion. Number 1 contender or number 1 ranked will be Vitaly Klitschko. Then you had Alexander Povetkin, Eddie Chambers, Ruslan Chagaev, Nikolai Valuev, Chris Arreola, David Hay, John Ruiz, Denis Boistov, and Alexander Dimitrienko. Sounds like a pretty good top 10. I mean, Povetkin, of course. He was 17-0 at the time. I mean, I'm not even going to mention both Klitschkos. We know who they were, right? Eddie Chambers, 35-1. Chagaev, 25-1. Nikolai Valuev, 50-1. So he lost against Chagaev, I believe. Fuck, I don't remember. David Hay. No, it was this top 10 is not that bad, actually. What do you guys think? Are we exaggerating when we say that past heavyweight divisions were much better than what they are right now? Oh, wait, hold on. I think we have Gonzalo. Gonzalo, you there?
Yes, hello.
Welcome to the show. So yeah, we're gonna discuss the heavyweight division, whether it's as bad as some people are saying it is, or is the heavyweight division not as bad. So we're gonna go back in time and compare this heavyweight division with the other ones. What do you think about this heavyweight division?
You got good fighters and big fighters. A lot of people talk about how the size matters. That if you were to bring back the older heavyweights, I mean, these guys would just be too big for them. So what is it? Are they too big and powerful? Or are the other guys from the past, which were usually on the smaller end, that much better that they would wipe out these guys?
Yeah.
I think, yeah. Sometimes maybe we have like this special relationship with fighters in the past because we were growing up at a time that something happened in our lives. We remember back to those times and we think of a certain fighter and we say, oh, that fighter of mine is so much better than these current fighters. Especially if I'm having I'm going through bad times now or something like that, you know what I'm saying? But sometimes I think we just build special relationships with fighters. And the ones from the past, you know, we didn't see them, but they have like this also something about them that, you know, we just think so greatly of them.
Yeah.
I think maybe the matchmaking nowadays makes it seem that they're really stale and that they suck because we're not getting the fights that we want when we want them.
Yeah. But some people are talking about skills. Like, I know if we go back, I mean, way back, like Joe Louis was what? Like he was 6'3", I believe, 216 pounds or something like that. Sure, I mean, he's a small guy. But skill-wise, were heavyweights better? And by the way, I don't want to necessarily go all the way back to the 1970s or even before that, 1930s. Let's just go back 10, 15, 20 years ago. No, let's say just 15 years ago, because that's when you started getting all these super heavyweights, in my opinion, around like the early 2000s. I started getting this super. Now, were those heavyweights better than these heavyweights? I mean, like you said, I mean, there's always criticism, right? But is it justified, though? Is it justified? Some people can say they can make an argument, a clear argument, that it is true, though. These heavyweights are not that good. I mean, you have Wilder. I know he has power, but his skills, they look like he's like an amateur. I mean, I'm not being a hater or anything. He does look like an amateur. He has tremendous power, don't get me wrong, but he does look like an amateur. Go look at the Spilka fight. And how the hell is he a heavyweight champion? Well, then somebody is gonna say, well, that's because this heavyweight division is garbage.
Yeah, the fact that he's so tall makes him look like really awkward and uncoordinated. But he does have power, and he does a couple things right. When you talk about Joe Louis, yeah, he was very he kept his punches tight. He had good form. He had a good left hook. And that's, if you look at video, like the eye test you're talking about, yeah, it's day and night as far as technique. But not all of them are like that. You know, we have fighters that have good technique. Anthony Joshua's got good technique, but he also has his flaws. I mean, I guess there can't be no perfect fighter. Even Vladimir Klitschko, when you talk about we go back 15 years, or Lennox Lewis. I don't know when Lennox Lewis exactly was around, but those are the names that come to mind. Lennox Lewis, Vladimir, and Vitaly. You know, they had their flaws as well.
I remember people also criticized Lennox Lewis for the type of opposition that he was facing. I don't know if you remember that too.
Yeah.
Like, he was a skilled heavyweight, but he wasn't fighting like top. He wasn't getting, those fights that legendary fighters get, fights that define their career. Lennox wasn't getting any of those. I mean, he got the Mike Tyson fight, but come on, we know that wasn't the same Mike Tyson, right? And I think he even knew this. This wasn't his career-defining fight.
Yeah, I guess that fight could have happened earlier.
Oh yeah.
And with the Riddick Bowe never happened, right?
Exactly. And then he had the Holyfield fights, and then what? Nothing. Right?
He got a draw against an old Holyfield.
Yeah, and then he beat Holyfield. And by the way, that draw should have been a win. And then, and then what happened after that? Like, that's what I'm thinking. Oh, let me just mute it. Then, like, he fought like David Tua in a boring ass fight.
Then he got the he got knocked out.
Start your show now. Press 1. To hear important instructions, press 2.
Oops. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, well, he avenged his 2 losses. And the fact that he had multiple nationalities, because I think he was born in England, then he jumped ship to Canada, then he made the United States his...
Jamaica, that was his other nationality. Jamaican, Canadian, British.
And British, yeah. And then he fought, he got stationed in... He stationed himself in the United States, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or I think where he lives in the United States now, or somewhere. It's just like, I know, a mixture of nationalities that the fans never really took to him.
Yeah, but the criticism, it could have been due to that, but also maybe it's true. At some point, people wanted to see Lennox Lewis be challenged, and there wasn't anybody around. St. Britt says Lennox had a great resume. What are you on about, Bucho? It was,
he was the best. He was the best, but we're criticizing the best as how good was it compared to like from 15 to 20 years back, compared to like fighters further back or fighters now.
I guess of all time. I mean, what I'm trying to, just if the criticism of Lennox Lewis was it justified at some point, and I know like St. Britt saying that his resume is pretty packed, but in the 90s, just look, I have it here, Frank Bruno. Let me put it on the screen. All right, so we had like Frank Bruno, Tommy Morrison, Ray Mercer, Oliver McCall, Henry Akinwande, Shannon Briggs. I mean, it's pretty good. Yeah, then the two Holyfield fights that wasn't a draw. The first fight should have been a win for Lennox Lewis. Then we start getting into this, like Michael Grant. Come on, that guy he didn't turn out to be anything, man. Franz Botha, come on. Davey Tua. Yeah, go ahead.
We're pretty much, I guess, what you're doing here, Bucho, is we're nitpicking the resume of the best fighter. I mean, it's not that we're discrediting him. He obviously was the best, but we're looking at his record, and fine detail to understand, was he really overrated or not? Which he wasn't, but still, we have to point out the facts. If we're going to compare, if this generation is overrated, that's just the point, we're trying to observe.
Yeah, what type of opposition was Lennox Lewis getting? Right?
Yeah, people take it too sensitive to, like, when we see something objectively, I guess, or you're trying to, like, tear his resume apart, or or whatnot. But that's really what it's about, understanding, how good these guys are now.
Exactly. And now I'm gonna show you guys the Ring Magazine top 10 heavyweights right now. We have right now. Hold on. Okay, here we go. All right, look at your screens, people. Heavyweight. Now they don't have a champion, but they have Tyson Fury number 1, Tyson number 1, Wilder 2, Andy Ruiz number 3, Joshua, then Dylan White, Luis Ortiz. He's still there. I mean, like, he's still there, and we can talk about what Ortiz has done lately. Povetkin, Joseph Parker, Kowaki, and Kubrat Pulev. Oh, Jesus. All right. So those are the top 10 heavyweights. Now, I have in my possession here another Ring magazine from May 2008. And it's titled Marquez versus Pacquiao, the expert's pick. So that's how far we're going here. May 2008. Let me tell you what the heavyweight division was in 2008. Heavyweight champion vacant. Number 1, Vladimir Klitschko. Then you had Samuel Peter. Then you have Chagaev, Olev Maskev, Nikolai Valuev, Sultan Imagrimov, Sergey Lyakovich, Vladimir Virkis, Tony Thompson, Alexander Povetkin, who was 14-0 at the time. How much better is this heavyweight division, or how much worse is it? You guys tell me, man. Like, we're putting things into perspective over here. Vladimir, I mean, we had a lot of these Europeans here. Sultan Imagrimov. I mean, if Wilder would knock out some of these guys, we'd call these guys bombs, or what? Jesus Christ, we had Tony Thompson there. What do you guys think? By the way, the phone lines are open. You can call in and tell us what you think. Is this current heavyweight division garbage, or are people just exaggerating?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
I thought I had dropped off.
No.
Some of the guys you mentioned are still around. Lyakovich, Povetkin. They never were champions. They never became. Or recycling them. Some are competitive, like Povetkin.
I don't know. Probably. I'm starting to think that the heavyweight division wasn't even that good 10 years ago, man.
Well, no. Vladimir Klitschko ruled with an iron fist.
But weren't we complaining back then that Klitschko's opposition wasn't... Like, there was nobody to oppose Klitschko, and then that's also because Klitschko was very good, right? But really, there wasn't anybody that was really that good. And not just because Klitschko was this amazing boxer, he was, but there wasn't anybody that was a good challenge. Because he didn't have any skills either.
It's true. Vladimir Klitschko is very basic.
Well, no, here we go.
Big guy
People,
with the-
no, don't say that, man. People are gonna go ape shit, man.
Well, basic is good when you're big. I mean, you don't have to change it up so much to where you're gonna get caught with the punch. If something works, keep on doing it. And this is what the big guy did. He threw jabs, right crosses, and he tied his opposition to where you had a good fighter in Povetkin that was young gold medalist. You know, he frustrated him to where he beat him decisively in the decision. Or did he drop him, stop him late? I think a decision.
I don't remember.
You know, where it just goes to show that how dominant he was based on his size and the ability to do one thing to dominate his opposition.
Yeah. All right, guys. All right, we're gonna go take a phone call now. See what people have to say here. 470, you're on the air. 470.
Hey, what's going on? Heavyweights. I think I don't know. I think pretty much every generation is basically the same. You have your 2 or 3 guys at the top, you know, elite guys, and then you got your B-level guys, your C-level guys. I think the era that most people
dropped off.
look back to and look back to with the glory days like the Ali era and the 80s and then late 80s and the 90s. And then a lot of people, I was looking at you were talking about Klitschko, and people were saying that era he had no opposition, it was boring, but I mean I remember his fights with Sam Peter. You know what I'm saying? That was Sam Peter was knocking dudes out one shot, and so he had his opposition. Lewis had his opposition. I think with this era though, these guys, they're just not fighting each other. It's just taking too long. I mean, if Joshua and Wilder had just simply fought when they were supposed to fight, I mean, they could have fought 2 or 3 times by now, and the whole world would be talking about boxing. We wouldn't be, this Canelo fight where, there was a UFC fight and we had to, delayed the airing of the Canelo fight. That wouldn't have happened if that was Joshua or Wilder. You know what I mean? So it's just that these guys, I mean, even the rematch with, I know it's boxing politics, but the rematch with Wilder and Fury, they lit a flame and then boom, no rematch. So they're going to wait, a year and a half to do the rematch. So I think the guys are here. We have guys in this era that would be exciting, but they just gotta mix it up.
So basically the skill level is more or less the same. It's only the boxing politics that, because they're preventing the big fights from happening. That's what's going on here.
That's what I think. I think every era you have like a guy, 2 guys at the top, 2 or 3 guys at the top that are elite. So with this era, you got, Wilder, Fury, Joshua. If you look at Tyson Fury skill-wise, he's up there with any other heavyweight in the past, in my opinion. His skills. So, and then in the previous era, Klitschko, he was the number 1 when it came to skills. Then before that, it was Lennox Lewis. Before that, it was Tyson and, Ali and Larry Holmes. So I think every era has got they got a couple guys at the top with skills. So I just don't see much difference, really. I mean, I know we do look at Deontay Wilder and we say, oh, he doesn't have, but I think Deontay Wilder is just a guy who realized he could knock dudes out one punch. So, I mean, we've had guys like that in boxing history too. We had, there was Marciano. He wasn't the most skilled, but he realized, hey, you can't survive 15 rounds with me. You're going to get knocked out. So I think, I just don't see much difference with this era. I just think that these guys in this era, it seemed like in the 80s and the 90s, guys were fighting. It just seemed like it just happened. Bob Arum and Don King were making it happen. But now it's like, you got DAZN over here, you got ESPN over here, you got PBC over here, and it's just that they're just not making the fights.
Yeah, good point, guys. Yeah, you want to jump in here and say something, Gonzalo or Pete?
I'm just listening to the.
All right. No, but it makes sense. Absolutely, it's true though. These fights are not happening, and that may be the reason why we get this perception that these heavyweights are not that good. But that's because they're not fighting each other. So we can't really see or gauge how good they are. We've seen Klitschko against Fury, so we know Fury has skills. When it comes to Wilder, we're not sure yet. I mean, we had that fight with Fury, but we need another one, right? We need another tough test for Wilder to see how good he is. So you're right. I agree 100% with you. Anything else you want to add?
No, I was just gonna, just keep up the show. I just think that, when these guys fight each other, we put pressure on these guys to fight. It makes the sport more exciting. If Wilder and Fury jump in there, then you got Joshua jumping in there, and even with the up and coming heavyweights, there's Dubois, there's Herkovich.
Mm-hmm.
So, when these guys fight, you make the fights happen. That's what makes the sport, look a lot better. But when we start dragging this shit out and, dragging fights out 2-3 years, that's what I think that's what creates the perception that, the era is just not what it is. But I think because everybody goes back, I think everybody's mind, I'm not sure how old everybody is, but when you go back and think, like, I just remember, I started watching boxing in the 90s. So 80s and late 80s, early 90s, or the 90s, guys were just fighting each other. Holyfield jumped in there with Bo, with Lewis with Holyfield. You had Ray Mercer. You had, you pulled up David Tua before. You pulled up all these guys. They were just, Razor Ruddock, Tyson. They were just fighting. It wasn't this thing where we had to wait 2-3 years to see a rematch. So
yeah,
that's just my opinion.
All right, man. Hey, thanks for the phone call. Take care.
Take care.
All right. Great points. People are saying in the chat here, well, all the people have said great call. I agree. Something in the chat says the problem is that they are not fighting each other. Once they start fighting each other, they'll give us more to talk about. Exactly. Listen, with Wilder, after he fought Fury, we had a lot to talk about. And there was controversy in the fight, maybe. There was surprises. And it got us talking, But that momentum kind of stopped. Because we had, to wait a year for the rematch? Come on, man. That rematch should have happened right after.
Yeah. I believe boxing, as far as the heavyweight division, it's getting more a mixture of nationalities where it's going to become more on the global scene. I don't think the United States, it boded too well with them that for the longest of time, there wasn't an American heavyweight champion, to where prior to that, there was all kinds. The caller just mentioned about the Tysons, the Holyfields of the world, the Riddick Bows.
Mm-hmm.
That had a dry spell to where it lost a lot of steam as far as the American market. But now, with the PBC and the zone, you get your exposure of these American heavyweights, but also like fighters from other parts of the world.
Yeah, and maybe that's what boxing needs. Yeah, and for some of these promoters to understand that the United States is not the center of the world, but it might be if Americans start like looking outside as well, right? Like you said, the zone might help giving these foreign fighters exposure. Because, anyways, I think the problem with boxing for a while it was that Americans just weren't looking outside, man. And Klitschko, I mean, God, he was boring as fuck. That's why he was kicked off HBO. I know people are gonna go, oh, he wasn't boring. Well, yeah, it's subjective. There was some okay fights, but there were some boring ass fights. I posted a link of his the fight he had with who was it? Jesus Christ, I forgot. That fight he had at the MGM 2008. That was a boring ass fight. And after that, HBO kicked Klitschko's ass out of HBO because he was so boring. But that may have been a mistake, in my opinion, because then Americans got disconnected from the heavyweight division, that heavyweight champion. And yeah, now it's coming back to America, man. Now all these foreigners are coming back. They're getting exposure. So I think it's great. T-Tone Toledo 165 says, boxing today has the top fighters to compare with any other decade, but money is putting it in slow motion. So yeah, he's saying that boxers from right now can be compared to boxers from the past. Okay.
Everybody's so scared, and this is just not the heavyweight division by itself. They're scared not because they're cowards, because they're afraid to take a loss, because they're thinking it's going to ruin their marketability, that their stock will drop.
Mm-hmm.
If they take a loss, they're not going to be worth the same.
Yeah, but how come that didn't happen before? Yeah, but when did this start to happen? I don't understand. Maybe there's more money involved, and that's why they don't want to take risks. I mean, I don't know, because come on, this doesn't make sense. They've always been risks if you fight another top fighter. I don't know.
Yeah, you get opportunity. I'm not sure today if you're just going to get another one again in the heavyweight division. I know Ortiz got one with Wilder, because it's kind of like, in a way, it's not a cherry pick, but they want to clear up the air to what happened in the first one, and they think they can win. They can win this one again. This is Wilder, so it's like a safe fight for them, because he basically, I don't know, he might be ducking other fighters. Wilder, I want to give him as much credit as possible. But like White hasn't got a title opportunity. I think a lot of these fighters, if they're good and they lose, they're gonna get thrown to the back of the line. You want to risk to fight these guys, but will they get the opportunities? Will they offer them a fight? Especially the good guys.
Yeah.
I mean, why hasn't Wilder fought White? Why hasn't? I know Povetkin had like a deal with that one drug. Starts with the name. I can't recall the names.
Yeah, it's not one of those. I don't remember either. Yeah.
Yeah. Maldonium. Yeah. What's up, Revolution?
Yeah, Revolution.
Yeah, you guys go ahead.
Gonzalo, thank you for introducing me, brother. I was waiting here in the crickets. I heard crickets. Waiting for Picho. Anyhow, what's going on, boys?
We've been fighting 400 and still fighting to this day.
What's up?
To this day. What's up, everybody? Yeah, man. I kind of wanted to say to the last caller. I was listening in the car driving home when you sent me the invite, Bucho, and I wanted to fucking respond to what he was saying, because he was kind of making a bit of a comment, like kind of genericizing it and saying each decade in boxing has their top two guys, and there's everybody else too, and this decade is no different from. And he even went as far to say the 90s, like he pulled that as an example.
Yeah.
Which kind of shocks me. It's like, okay, I was actually thinking about this the other day. We should go back and look at the Ring magazine top 10s year by year, or like decade by decade. So like 10 years ago, we see who the top 10 heavyweights were and compare it to today's top 10. Because that's the thing. We don't have the depth. You got your Deontay Wilder, you got your AJ, you got your Fury, you got your Ruiz. You got these four guys in the mix. And you start going down, it starts getting thinner and thinner. But I mean, the caller, he brought up Tua, Mercer, Bo, Ruddock, Holyfield, Tyson. There was Shannon Briggs in the mix. There was Ike Ibeabuchi in the mix. There was Larry Holmes, and he came back after Tyson went away and still beat Butterbean. You had a lot more depth in the 90s. You had a lot more names.
Sure.
And you had fights where it's like a Ray Mercer. A Ray Mercer is like, in the 90s, maybe a top 10 guy at one point, but not a all-time great, but you saw him go against Lewis, and he gave Lewis hell. Shannon Briggs went to a slug out with fucking Lewis. And these guys were never like huge champions, but they all gave a good account of themselves. Who have these current heavyweights gone through that have given good accounts of themselves? Like, are we going to start counting Otto Wallen in the top 10?
No, the caller did say the problem is that the heavyweights right now, they're not fighting each other.
They're not fighting each other, and the dudes they're fighting are either dudes they're walking through easily and not proving anything, or they're fighting really below average competition and struggling.
Yeah. That's good.
Show me something. That's what I mean. You don't even have to fight each other, but give me a good exhibition.
How can? But you can't really show your skills if you're fighting low level opposition, and sometimes you can bring your level down to the level of the opposition, right?
Yeah, which happens. But there's no other guys for these dudes to fight. There's you got the top 4, and then under them is a big drop off in talent.
True.
And you even look like let's put Andy Ruiz in the mix. Let's put him in the top 4. Like let's look at his fight with Joseph Parker. Like that wasn't like you could say whoever won in your opinion, but it wasn't a barn burner. It wasn't like a legendary fight like two I brought up Mercer and Lewis. Lewis and Briggs. 2 fights that were easy fights for the guys who won in a sense, but they were still wars and they still proved something.
Yeah, but not we can't be so harsh to like mention, well, every time you go out and fight, you're supposed to perform, to a certain level. I mean, that was a close fight against 2 guys that are in the top 10. It was competitive. We talk about fighters from the past. Vladimir Klitschko didn't always turn in the most exciting performances, like Bucha was saying. And we go further back. I'm just going to pick one name out of the hat. Muhammad Ali, he had close fights. Every fighter has close fights. To where if they're undefeated, okay, or they only lost one time, we can't, call them out for that. Because if they give us exciting performances or show their medal 8 or 9 times out of 10, well, we got to see the good things they do. And we just have to, think about that.
Okay, well, the point you brought up, so Vladimir Klitschko, he didn't always turn in an amazing performance, right? Could be considered a boring fighter. I got his box rec here. Who did he fight that really gave him a hard time? Who was like a real challenge for him in his? Let's see, Sam Peter.
Mm-hmm.
Nah.
He fought scared in that fight.
Yeah. Even fucking Sam Peter he dropped him 3 times, and still, Vlad had pretty easy time with him. Fucking Abragamov, Eddie Chambers, maybe I guess like David Hay, but he was like a cruiserweight coming up.
He got it done. He got it done in a way that maybe wasn't so fan friendly. He got it done. Okay, he was able to do that. But at the same time, look, we want to have it to where fighters are fighting.
Yeah.
And whether they turn in the best performance or not, if it's still competitive, it might tell you something about like how Ruiz with Parker, that they're both 2 good fighters. And we just can't always say, oh, well, he's not the most exciting because he just had 1 close fight. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Yeah, I guess just in short, my fucking point is just the 90s were so much deeper than today's field for heavyweights. At least.
That was probably the best era ever. That was like a golden era.
Yeah, maybe it's unfair to compare the current heavyweight division with the 90s, but we can go back 10 years ago. That'd be fair. And it might not be as bad as people think.
Yeah, Chris Bird in there, but Chris Bird was
at that time, 2006. Way past his prime.
Past his best for sure. Smaller guy.
Yeah.
Didn't have like a huge power punching style. A little more
he relied on athleticism and speed, skills. Now then he was flat-footed as fuck, and anyway, that doesn't count. Lehman Brewster, the 2007 Lehman Brewster fight.
Nah. He was a good fighter. He became champion. Look, like nowadays, Andy Ruiz, he won 1 fight. Okay, he's a good fighter. But he could be like one of those guys that just became champion and dropped off the face of the earth and never really had any other exciting fight but the one where he became champion. Good fight.
I can't help but laugh every time. Sorry. I was saying I can't help but laugh every time I see Robert Helenius' name.
The monster.
That big fucking dope.
Yeah.
Big Viking fat. Whoops. Oh.
For the long time, he was so sort of boogeyman, I think. Not boogeyman, but something like, oh my god, this guy, when's he gonna take it to the next level? I can't wait.
Yeah, Robert Hilarious.
Yeah. lot of people saying in the chat. Big Boys Boxing says, in 20 years, we may look back and say this era is great. We never know until the era is over. Even in the 90s, we didn't realize how good it was at the time. That's a good point. There's some sort of like romanticism going on, right? Like, the past was always the good old days, the good old days. It might be the same case, right?
You can go back and watch the fights. You can go back, like, I didn't watch boxing in the 90s. I was a little boy. But I go back and I watch old fights. I'm like, holy shit, you had your champions, but you had all these other guys gunning who could potentially knock them all off.
You guys know this channel, Rumi's Corner?
Rumi's Corner. I love Rumi.
Yo, Rumi. Yeah, Rumi. He's, remember when his video about the 90s heavyweights? Holy shit. It's like year after year, good fights. Right now, I mean, we get one good heavyweight fight per year, and maybe not even that.
Grievous in the chat. Grievous in the chat made a great point. He's saying this is the WWE era, and it really is.
Yeah.
It truly
it is.
And one of the problems, like with pro wrestling, because I know a lot more about pro wrestling than I do about boxing.
Right.
But it's just old knowledge that I've built up. Right. Old. I don't watch the shit currently. Please don't get it twisted. It's embarrassing.
Yeah, me neither. I used to watch it in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, when it was good, when everybody else watched too.
But it was like...
Don't lie, Revolution. Don't lie. Your favorite WWE wrestler is Tyson Fury.
I did watch his shit. I did watch it.
I didn't, man. I wonder how it was, man. But anyways. So, okay, so you're comparing it to...
My point is, in wrestling, is fake. They write the storylines, and in a way they condition fans with what they do. So one problem in wrestling today is there's too many big crazy moves. People say, every minute some guy's doing a flip off the top rope and doing this and that, and they're desensitizing the fans to these big moves. Essentially, they're conditioning them to want bigger and bigger flips and shit, and people say no, they gotta dial it back and condition the fans in a different way, so when somebody does the one flip on the show, everybody goes crazy. Instead of there's 50 flips and no one gives a shit. So what point I'm bringing up is it's all about how they condition the fans. And in this day and age, the fans have been conditioned to focus on that And if you lose, you're a bum. If you lose, you go to the back of the line, which it shouldn't fucking be that way. I mean, let's take a look at Nonito Donaire and Inoue. They had a fight which I'm assuming there were no huge politics in that fight. I mean, maybe not, but let's say that was a legit fight. And you want to know something? In the end, they both came out fucking winners. Because Donaire put his heart on the line, maybe had the last great performance of his career. Inoue proved a lot. They shook hands. Inoue let Donaire take the trophy to his hotel room overnight to show the kids. Nobody lost there.
The fans won.
The fans won. Yeah, and the fans accepted it. And I think imagine if, let's say, it went a little bit differently and Inoue lost, I don't think the Japanese fans would turn on him for that. That was a valiant effort. If he lost a little close decision,
they'll just kill themselves. They would just kill themselves, but...
They would just they'd go out to the seppuku forest.
Yeah, exactly. Get lost there. And Gonzalo, go ahead.
With that being said, what was the real problem with Parker fighting Ruiz?
What was the problem?
The problem with it, how could I say?
Don't fight each other. Don't challenge.
It wasn't a pretty. It was a pretty fight, and it wasn't one where, one guy's almost knocked out, but he comes back, and there wasn't a whole lot of ebb and flow.
But that's not always going to happen.
I know.
Based on styles, they're not there they're there to look good, but if it means winning and it's competitive, it's not always going to be what we want to see.
I understand.
As far as you got to protect yourself. Just to make it exciting, one guy's going to not be his best so the other guy can take over. No, when it's competitive and they're both good, sometimes it's going to be like that.
Yeah, a bit of a stalemate almost.
Yeah, there you go.
Sometimes a fight could become a war of attrition, and both guys are dying by the end of it. Sometimes both guys are in good shape, and they're just kind of pot shotting, or it can go 100 different ways.
But then Parker, he came back and he had some pretty good performances, right? And he still lost 2 of them, and he's still top 10.
What good performances?
Well, he had a good fight against White, which he lost, but he's still relevant, right? He lost the stinker to Joshua, but he's still top 10. He's still relevant.
You said a couple
He's
of good
still
fights. I mean, they were. I mean, I just have to disagree with you, Joseph.
You know what?
The Tyson, the Huey Fury fight was a stink fest. God.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna, I'm sorry. If I'm gonna like put, how could I say this? Like if I were to compare Joseph Parker to a fighter from the '90s, like level wise, I would put him with John Ruiz.
Yes, that's fair, I guess.
That's a good comparison, you'd say.
No,
John Ruiz was on the low end of the heavyweights in the '90s too.
And he managed to become a champion, huh?
Well, he managed to become a champion toward the end. Paper champ. But he was on the low end. Got fucking wrecked by 2.
Yeah.
Got Joseph Parker, who's in the top 10, who I'm comparing to a guy who's top 20 years ago.
Well, maybe not the most exciting, but he has faced fighters where he's still relevant in the top.
Yeah.
And he's only 28 years old. I wouldn't have a problem seeing him again if we want a competitive fight, face another.
And I'm not knocking him. I'm not knocking Parker. I'm pointing out the depth of the division again. Is what I am.
Yeah. He's a good fighter.
No, he is. He just lacks a bit of a mean streak, you know. He needs to. Stu said it best. And by the way, I'm glad Stu is back on. I heard him. He's very glad to hear him. I hope I get to speak to you soon, Stu. He said that Joseph Parker couldn't win a raffle if he had the winning ticket in his hand. You know, he'd be too scared to go and claim the prize. Kind of shit. Great comparison. He doesn't have that mean streak. And White bullied him around that whole fight. You know, and there was that bullshit knockdown. He was getting pushed, headbutted. And fucking Parker started feeling sorry for himself. You know, he started feeling sorry for himself. And he said at the end, he's like, you know what? I got 2 rounds left. I got to do something. And he did something, but it was too little, too late. And I think that's really representative of his career. He's got to really look inside and change something if he's going to break out.
Yeah.
But
and he hasn't been seriously hurt or anything, so it's not like he's damaged goods or anything. Big Boys Boxing says Parker has never been dominated like John Ruiz was. Well, yeah. I mean, John Ruiz getting knocked out by Tua like that. The Holyfield fights were competitive, if I remember correctly. But then again, I mean, it was an old Holyfield too, right? Who else dominated Ruiz then?
Well, Tua dominated Ruiz, but Tua was a fucking beast. So, like...
But who else?
Going up the ladder, like, okay, so... I'm playing
Roy Jones.
Some deep theory.
Roy Jones, yeah.
So, if Dylan White beat Parker, that was probably the biggest domination. Dylan White dominated Parker. Now, let's compare who dominated Ruiz. David Tua. So... comparing David Tua and Dylan White, I think David Tua takes it.
Yeah.
Oh, David Tua. He also had an exceptional chin.
Small heavyweight,
man. Ike Bayabuchi, man. When's he gonna make his fucking comeback and start this whole shit again?
I'm still waiting, man.
Come on, baby. 52 years old. He can do it.
Unrivaled Boxing Talking News says Dylan White did not dominate Parker. I saw Parker didn't do shit.
He got mentally dominated.
Yeah, nothing happened, but it was like...
Parker got trapped inside of himself.
Yeah. You could give the runs to Dylan White, in my opinion. He was just winning most rounds.
He's bullying him, you know? And in a way, that's dominating. You're not outclassing him, not outpunching him, but you're taking the guy's confidence. You're making him second guess. That's the thing. Parker his mentality isn't there, bro.
Unrivaled Boxing says Parker beat Ruiz, not Tua. What are you talking about? Do we say that? White.
Parker beat Ruiz. Yeah, that's true. On paper, yeah, it was a close fight.
People are saying Do9 says Parker nearly KO'd White in the 12th. Yeah, he did. But he should have done something throughout the whole fucking fight, though.
He should have done that in the 6th.
It's like Chavez Jr. almost knocking out Sergio Martinez. Like, although, yeah, it's true. I mean, Parker wasn't getting busted up, but he wasn't doing much.
Yeah, that fight between Parker and Joshua was boring, but I could see that Joshua had some respect for him.
Yeah, and somebody said John Ruiz, not Andrew Ruiz. Yeah, I guess it's an easy mistake to make. John Ruiz, Andrew Ruiz.
Ruiz is my bad.
Body Ace says Parker ran all night. He could run a marathon. All right, let's move on. So, go ahead, Gonzalo. I think you want to say something.
It's like when fighters are picking up steam, like Fury did. What did he do? He retired, relinquished his belt, and people were just barely starting to believe in him. Now, he did come back, and he fought Wilder, but Wilder pretty much cherry-picked him to where, the guy was coming off inactivity and losing weight. So what do? You give credit to Wilder for facing the depleted Fury, and you give credit to Fury for coming back and going 12 rounds and got a draw, but then after that he fell off again to where he's only fighting subpar competition. So fighters, when they're picking up steam and doing something good, they don't follow it up with another good performance.
Yeah. They lose momentum. By the way, Pete, you can join in, man. I introduced you before. I don't know if you were there. Pete, you can join in. Mark, if you want to jump in also, the link is in the regulars group. So just click on the link. Go ahead, Revolution.
Okay. So what I'm saying, right now I got pulled up in front of me the Ring Magazine annual ratings going back in increments of 5 years. So it's 2019 now.
Mm-hmm.
I've got 2014, 2009, 2004, and 1999. So we're talking tail end of the 90s every 5 years till now. So just going to do top 10 heavyweights, and we're going to talk about the depth. Going backwards, 2014, top 10 heavyweights. Vladimir Klitschko's a champion. Then we have Povetkin, Stavern, Fury, Pulev, Bryant Jennings, Wilder at number 6, Vyacheslav Glasgow, Mike Perez, Chris Arreola, Ruslan Chagayev. Okay, that's not too far off of where we're at now, right? Pretty much same level of competition. Okay, going back to 2009, heavyweights. Klitschko's a champion. Behind him, we got Vitali, Povetkin, Eddie Chambers, Chagayev, David Hay, Chris Arreola, Denis Boistov, Nikolai Valuev, Alexander Dimitrenko, Tony Thompson. All right, still not anything crazy. You had the reign of the Klitschko brothers going on. You had a prime Povetkin. Still not huge. Okay, 2004. Vitali's a champion. Then we got Chris Bird, John Ruiz, Hasim Rahman, James Toney, Monty Barrett, Andrew Galata, Fres Oquendo, Jameel McCline, Corey Sanders, and Lamont Brewster. How do you guys feel about the depth of the division in 2004?
Pretty much the same.
Compared to today, about the same?
Kind of the same. I mean, like, you look at Jameel McCline, what the hell? I mean, he was big. He had the Michael Grant win, I remember. That's what that made, like, put him into the scene. But that's it. I mean, like, after that, he lost to Chris Bird, for the love of God. I mean, I know Chris, he was just a big guy. Do you mention other names there? Can I just say something?
Go ahead.
When we look at past boxers, it's easier to like let's say we mentioned Tony Thompson, right? But at that time, what did Tony Thompson actually achieve? You know what I mean? So when we look at past boxers, we always we like have their whole career already completed. Mm-hmm. So we elevate them to another level. Right now, we don't know. Like, let's say we talk about Huey Fury or Joseph Parker, right? We're shitting on Joseph Parker here. Like, oh, he beat Ruiz, but after that, he hasn't done shit. He loses rounds like by doing nothing. But maybe in 5 years, he's gonna become a very good boxer. And so when we look at 2019 top 10 heavyweight boxers and you see Joseph Parker there, we're going to be like, oh, wait, he had Joseph Parker in there. Look at that. 2019 was stacked, because of Joseph Parker and this other guy. But at
good point. We got to look at what point these guys are at in their career.
Exactly.
Like, all right, like the 2004 I'm looking at right now. Number 6, we got Andrew Galata. 2004, he was going toward the tail end of his career, right? He's starting to run on fumes of the 90s. James Toney was at his biggest right now, so I wouldn't say prime James Toney, so we can't. Oh, James Toney's a heavyweight in 2004. What a stacked division, because he did better at like middleweight, cruiserweight. Okay, but let me go back to my final one. Let's just see the depth of 1999. All right, this is where it's gonna come to. This is where it's gonna come to a head, Booch.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh God.
Title is vacant. Okay, so we just have a straight top 10. Lewis, Holyfield, Michael Grant, Ibeabuchi, Dave Tua, Tyson, Vitali, Andrew Galata, Derek Jefferson, Oleg Maskiev.
Derek Jefferson, yeah. Was he with the guy with that great knockout? And then, who was the last one?
Oleg Maskiev.
Oleg Maskiev, yeah. Also...
So, here's something you say, okay, so Michael Grant, here's one when Michael Grant was number 3, but now in hindsight 2020, we look back, okay. Bit of an HJ. Hype job. Derek Jefferson.
Didn't Chris Arreola knock him out?
No. We gotta be honest. That heavyweight list that Revolution just mentioned is much better than now.
Yeah, come on.
Oh yeah, because you have names, but that Tyson was an old Tyson.
The 99 Tyson was still dangerous as hell, though. I mean, I know what you mean. Obviously, but compare him to like today's heavyweights. I mean. He's still knocked out about that. Take that Tyson from 99 Mike Tyson. Put him in there right now with what we have in the current heavyweight division. I'm gonna post it on the. Okay, so we have Mike Tyson over here. Now, can he beat Tyson Fury? Probably not. Deontay Wilder. That 99 Mike Tyson versus Deontay Wilder. Guys, in the chat, anybody, please give me an answer. Who wins?
How old was Mike Tyson in 1999?
36?
I'm gonna pull his box.
No. He was early 30s, but I don't know exactly. He was 36, I think, when he fought Lewis in 2004. 2? 3? When was that fight? Fuck.
I think 2004.
Lewis, 2002.
2002, yeah.
2002? Okay.
I think he was 35 at that time. So...
Just to get an idea of so Mike Tyson in 1999, where his mindset was at, who he was fighting. This was 1999's the year he knocked out Francois Botha.
Yeah,
got that.
He was losing the fight, I think. Anyway,
that Orland Norris fight.
Yeah,
and the Botha fight that me and you love, Bucho.
And then he gets stacked.
So they would be pretty much around the same age, right? Mike Tyson and Wilder.
Holy shit, it's true. But but this is like a fresher Deontay Wilder, I believe. My dad Mike Tyson, what he'd been through, what he went through, it's a completely different story.
That's a 50-50 fight. I'd probably favor Wilder.
50-50.
Young Mike Tyson smokes. He smokes Wilder with the head move. He gets inside and knocks him out.
Yeah, but the latter Mike Tyson, he was more slower, and he relied on that spring. Can I say springiness? The spring.
Yeah,
like a spring. Yeah. Springy legs, and that Mike Tyson didn't have that anymore. So yeah, I would favor Wilder just because he's fresher. But that 99 Tyson, hey, you never know. Yeah. But still, he would be a danger. So going back to what I was saying here, bring that 1999 Mike Tyson into the top 10 heavyweight division that we have right now. He'd be competitive. He probably knocks out Pulev.
Oh yeah. So right now, okay, I got the Ring Magazine annual for last year, 2018. So this is the most current, like full year. I mean, I guess you could pull up the current top 10, but. Last year was AJ, Fury, Wilder, Dylan White, Ortiz, Povetkin, Parker. And then these last three guys is where I'm getting concerned. You got Jarrell Miller, Konaski, and Pulev.
Miller, Konaski, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to have Miller and Konaski on there, neither of those guys are really proven on an elite level. Where at like going back to '99, Derek Jefferson had a knockout of the year in 1996, so he was up there. Oleg Maskiev go on to be a title holder. So, I mean, the bottom of the top 10 in 1999, a lot better than the bottom of the top 10 last year. And I'm done looking at lists for the night, guys. You got it all out of me, all right?
Yeah, that's enough. Good job. Well, guys, the phones are open.
We can't.
Go ahead.
Sorry. We can't say that Kalinowski is overrated or he's not as good as those guys yet because, like you said, we have to finish to see what happens. Well, in the future, we'll be able to get a better understanding.
Okay, hold on. Mark, Unrivaled Boxing in the chat is screaming out for 1974. All right, Mark, here you go. 1974 annual. 1 second.
I remember those days. Good old days, man.
Oh yeah, I was a twinkle in my father's nutsack.
Jesus.
Hanging on for dear life. He was still busting nuts in random bitches. He didn't even meet my mama yet. I was hanging.
God, very graphic.
All right, 74,
very graphic.
74. Muhammad Ali's a champion. And here we go. Foreman, Frazier, Ron Lyle, Oscar Bonavena, Joe Bugner, Ken Norton, Jerry Quarry, Chuck Wepner, Harry Clark, and Larry Middleton. Can't say I'm familiar with many other guys toward the bottom because I'm not the fucking historian that somebody else is. I admit.
Looks pretty good. I mean, but then again, I don't know. No, I don't want to get into it. But yeah, he has names. And most of those names we know because of Frazier fought this guy, Ali fought that guy, and Foreman fought that guy, and they had a tough fight.
Yeah. Foreman and Lyle had a war. Was it Foreman and Lyle? Yeah.
Mark Pinkerton says 1994. Listen, we can't go through all the years, man. G-Boogie says, Revolucion, how's your boy Donkey Don King?
Donkey Don King. Yeah, me and Mark are going to have a little show. I'm not going to jump on the show like as if it was my idea. Mark is going to be doing a little show. It's a boxing puppet show. We're going to leave it at that. It's going to be a boxing puppet
That's funny. We had that idea at some point. We never really did it. Like, we needed to get a puppet, and we're like, this show's already weird enough, man.
Yeah, it ain't even a fucking TV puppet. It's going to be your boy Spuddy McTator and Don King, Donkey Don King. And every once in a while, a little appearance from Mike Bison.
Ooh. Wait, Mike Bison, Street Fighter?
Not Tyson. Mike Bison, Mike Tyson.
All right.
The character from Street Fighter, Balrog, is inspired by Mike Tyson. If you see the face, it looks just like him.
Well, in Japan, M. Bison is actually the boxer. But then I had to change the name because of copyright issues, I think. So
yeah,
Bison became.
But he's just like
Balrog.
Mike Tyson, right? Look at the face.
Oh yeah, of course. We have a phone call here. 646, you're on the air. 646. Oh, he dropped out.
Wait, Balrog was M. Bison in Japan?
Yep.
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
Yeah, so they like, oh no, you can't do that. So like, fuck it, we'll switch the names.
Wasn't Vega too? Vega, the guy from Spain.
Yeah, I think they switched those three names. Vega, who was it? No, Sagat was. I think he was the same. Sagat.
Sagat was a kickboxer, right, from Thailand.
Yeah. Anyways, it was a switch around of names, but for sure the boxer was M. Bison, and then they decided to change it. Because it's like, come on, it sounds like Mike Tyson. Come on. What else people are saying in the chat? 2022, watch out, Russia, don't nuke you Yanks. Okay, St. Brit says 2022, Dubois undisputed. Okay.
I like Dubois.
Alright guys, by the way, the phone lines are open if you want to give us your opinion on the question of the day. Is the current heavyweight division garbage or is it just pure hating? Because Wilder is at the top. And who else is at the top? Tyson Fury? Can I just say something though? I don't think we have a lineal heavyweight champion right now. Because Tyson Fury, you can make an argument that because he retired for a year or something, that he relinquished his lineal title, and nobody really took it back, right? Like you had Joshua against Klitschko, but was that really for a lineal title? Nope. So there is no lineal champion, in my opinion.
Yeah,
that's fucked up.
It's really not, but the networks are playing into that to where they're having people believe that it's a reality, it exists.
Yeah.
They got no choice. They got to play up shit like that because they don't have anybody to make matches with, yo.
And
that's what it is.
And saying that Deontay Wilder is a champion, I mean, come on, who did he fight to win that championship? Yeah, I mean, I'm cheating. You're cheating on Wilder. No, it's true. Come on, guys. Then he had a chance against Fury. He couldn't finish the job. Come on.
I'm sorry, I'm jumping in, but who else can Wilder face? Like, let's see. He's gonna face Ortiz. Okay, then he's gonna he could fight AJ. He could fight Ruiz.
He's fighting Fury.
Okay, he's fighting Fury next. Then he's got either. Okay, White. Yeah, you're right. Okay. But
Rivas is a good fighter too.
Oscar
Rivas.
Okay,
that was shitty point on my part. You're right. Yeah, he does have some. He does have some people.
It's a bit small in my opinion, but yeah, he gave Dylan White a good fight.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, he's got options.
He looked kind of big. He looked not tall wise. I think he's like 6'1" or 6'2", but he's pretty strong. And Kalinowski, he could fight him. Who else? Povetkin he's decent. He had a boring fight. Well, he got good jab. He can hit hard with straight punches to the pit of the stomach.
Yeah, I wonder how much he has left though. He was getting tired against AJ, but you can't blame the guy, right? Some people had him winning the fight until he got stopped, so he was doing a lot of work. But he's also older, right? So, but he's still in there.
Parker's he's only 28 years old. All that experience, them tough close fights, could have it to where iron sharpens iron, and he's just that much better.
Yeah. I'm reading the comments in the chat. Box says Wilder loves stalking these European alphas. The Funk Tapo says European alphas, you gave up your guns. What are you guys talking about?
Okay, wait. I guess another problem I got with the heavyweight division now is these top four guys. Well, like, what have they done to get to the top four? When we look at the resumes, okay, here are our top four guys. Okay, Wilder, we know about his fucking career so far. It just kind of seems like it just so happens that he lands in the top position right now.
Yeah,
he didn't earn it. It's just
we've been fighting
how the cards kind of fell.
To this day,
AJ had his hardest fight against an old Klitschko. Ruiz had losses.
Lost.
Yeah, you can't look at Ruiz and say like, "Oh, he's a world beater." He's a
day.
great boxer, but he's not a world beater.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
why wouldn't he be?
And who's the last one? Fury. I mean, Fury's had wins over Chisora.
Yeah, but you said Ruiz has losses. He has a loss.
A loss. I apologize.
A loss. Don't piss off Gonzalo, man. Don't piss Gonzalo off here.
I'm not taking it personally.
Yeah. I'm joking. Mark, welcome to the show. Hello, my friend. Hello, my
Hello, my
friend.
friend. Hello. Hello.
All right, so yeah, you know what we're talking about.
Yeah, for me, I feel like when it comes to rating an era, we need to find kind of like define when this era started. So you can look at it when Wilder came into being a champion.
Okay.
You could look at it then, but then again, none of the other major guys, like Fury, hadn't beaten Klitschko yet. And then when Fury beat Klitschko, he was meant to rematch Klitschko, but he went to retirement suspension. So the era hadn't kind of restarted, and I think it kind of popped off, like where everyone was like to a golden age after Joshua Klitschko, because that's when the numbers started going. That's when talks of Undisputed started going. That's when the talks of Wilder AJ started going. Big fights, right? This is when the big fights of this era were starting. So that's 2017, and I like to give an era about 5 years, 6 years to see what happens. So as far as I'm concerned, we're only 2 years in. And I feel we have until 2022 till we can see, because I feel like Fury, he's kind of run his course in a sense, because he's been off and on. So he's been a bit of a letdown in this era, a bit like Riddick Bowe back in his time. And then,
good point, Mark.
And then when you look at guys like Deontay Wilder, he probably has another 2 more years to go in him because he still has the power. So up until he's about 36, 35 is normally when you start deteriorating. So he's in his physical peak currently, at the end of his physical peak. So he's got about 2 more years towards the top level. So I'd give it until about 2022. And then I look at the prospects coming through. Right now we have Usyk, who's come up from cruiserweight. He's a spanner in the works. Michael Hunter, he's causing issues come up from cruiserweight. Then we have the big guys who come in from the amateurs, starting to do things right now. Like we've got Effie Jagba. We've got the next 3-4 years could be a serious issue in the division. We still have guys like Tony Oka coming through. About 3-4 more years in him. Parker probably will retire in 3-4 years, according to him. So I feel that's when we should be really grading it. Because right now we only had 2 years of when the division's actually been at a point where we talk about the best. Because people are saying we're entering a golden age 3 years, but it never materialized. And then when AJ Klitschko, that's when it took off. And then we had, like, for example, Andy Ruiz. We had a Michael Buster. We had a Buster Douglas moment. You know what I mean? We had a Buster Douglas moment. AJ lost. AJ, he was beating Klitschko. He beat Parker. He unified 3 belts. You had Wilder knocking out everybody that was coming his way. Had a dramatic fight with Fury, which will go down as, in a way, a dramatic fight in heavyweight history, whether people want to admit it or not. And same thing with AJ versus Klitschko. So from 2017 onwards, that's when you start rating it and looking at the fights. If you look at the Dillian Whyte versus Parker fight, it's an exciting fight to watch. There was 3 knockdowns in that fight. That's very exciting at heavyweight. If you look at AJ Klitschko, there's 4 knockdowns. Andy Ruiz versus AJ. What? Ruiz knocked him down 4 times. AJ knocked him down once. There's 5 knockdowns in that. That's when you start looking at these fights being exciting. That's when you look at the era being competitive and difficult. Yes.
Who can we blame for the fractured state of the heavyweight division? Because these fights didn't pick up momentum. They didn't materialize, like you said, where they came together as a whole. That, you know, the picture looks like it's broken.
We can... Yeah, you're breaking up, man. Pretty badly. So... people in the chat saying that you should fix your mic. Oops, I was muted. They couldn't hear me. Mark, people are saying that you're breaking up, man. So
I'm breaking up?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, that sucks because I've gone off on a good tangent there.
Oh, God. Yeah, we couldn't hear anything you said.
Can you start again?
Well, let him fix his mic. Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I guess it's my connection, guys. I'm sorry.
Yeah, could be. Must be. We'll try again, I guess.
Who can we blame? The sanctioning bodies, the managers and promoters, the fighters.
We can blame everybody. One of the main people I would blame is Tyson Fury. to an extent.
How dare you?
Because he's the one who we could have had the era start at that point when he beat Klitschko. But he went into all, and the division kind of fragmented. And then AJ went around picking up the pieces, and then he had that big, massive fight with Klitschko, which had the UK booming and going massive. We can also put blame on Wilder because at the same point, he could have been fighting these guys, but he didn't. He could have been fighting Klitschko coming through. He could have had that fight with AJ. He could have had that fight with Fury. He was offered all of these fights, and he only took one of them. So I pretty much blame everybody for marination, rejection, and issues.
And the PDs, maybe also we can throw that in there, the Dillian White situation.
You can throw PEDs in any situation you want. Any situation you want in boxing history. Like, there's a lot of factors that have stopped it, but I'm waiting from 2017 is when I feel this division has started. And from when AJ beat Klitschko, because that's when a lot of it picked up and we started to see a lot of good fights take place. So I'm looking 2017 to 2022, and I have a funny feeling by 2022 we're gonna have an unbelievable top 10, because I think we're gonna have Tyson Fury still just maybe not in there anymore. Maybe he'll be in there because maybe he'll have retired. But let's just say he's in there, he'll be in there. You'll have Usyk still in there. You'll have AJ still in there. You should have Andy Ruiz still lurking. Dillian White will still be lurking, and Wilder. And then you'll have guys like Dubois, Filip Hrgovic, Efe Ajagba, Jalilov, all coming through and causing issues. Big time. And that's when that division is going to be dangerous. That's when you're going to see fights like Mercer coming in and Tyson and guys like Ruddock and stuff. And we're going to have an area that can kind of compete with it on paper. Because that's what we need. We need good fighters who can all beat each other, and that's what that will give us by 2022, is a division where the best guys may be towards the bottom part, or the worst guys maybe towards the best part. And that's where you'll need it.
What if we keep getting ex-American football players?
Well, right now we don't have that. Right now, with the prospects coming through, we have way better than that. With we may still have some bum fights, but there should be enough to make up for good fights. If you look at Dubois coming through, you look at Jalilov coming through, you look at Filip Hrgovic, Tony Yoka, Efe Ajagba, Ivan Daichko. These guys are all immense fighters. They are all immense fighters. We have a guy who nobody really talks about in Arslanbek Makhmedov. He's not a great defensive fighter, but he can knock anybody the fuck out. He can take their head off. He hits like an absolute freight train. So there's a lot of things that can happen in this division coming over the next 2-3 years, and that's what we need to see.
It's all dependent upon too. I think what impacts it a lot is who they sign with, because you know what PBC is trying to do, right? So
yeah, I know
a lot of these guys will
do, but if you're listening to a lot of the fighters that I'm mentioning, one of them, Efe Ajagba, right? He's already with PBC. The rest of them, they're all with Eddie Hearn and Bob Arum.
That's what I suspected, they were going to go that route. So they'll be fighting on the zone.
They'll be fighting on the zone and ESPN, and the zone and ESPN are willing to work with each other. We've seen that.
No. Ajagba's with the PBC, that's right. You think, oh, fuck.
But I don't think Ajagba's going to be that much of a problem. I think he's more power than anything, and I'll be perfectly honest, he doesn't have the same type of power Wilder does. He couldn't even hurt Demerizan, to be honest. So I see that guy getting beat up by one of the elite guys coming through.
All right.
There is a lot of good fighters out there, and there's different prospective levels. I mean, you've got Shakoji, a 6'9" guy. He moves kind of good, throws 1-2s. You've got Petr Milas, a good combination puncher. He's able to get in on the inside. A little bit like Kovnatsky, just slimmer and more technically skilled and a bit better defensively, but not as powerful. So I should mute myself because apparently I'm giving off nothing but static, so I apologize.
Dang, that's just a bit of a bummer about Ajagba, man, because I got hopes for him, because he's the heir to the throne, you know?
Who said that?
The Nigerian throne.
No, I said who said that? How do you know?
PBC throne?
No, the Ikebeabuchi throne.
Yeah.
He's got to come
Hopefully, it
represent
doesn't end
for,
up the same way,
his homie
but
past.
yeah.
He should take up the name the vice president.
And then become
And
a
then,
rapist?
Do something. Do something illegal and end your career, but get a belt first, and then go down in history as a known quantity, not an unknown.
And can I give you guys a really big prediction here? I'm predicting an undisputed champion in 2020.
Stop it. Stop it.
Can I tell you? No, can I tell you who I'm predicting to be in the fight?
Go ahead.
I'm predicting Daniel Dubois in 2023. He'll take on Filip Hrgovic. And the number 3 ranked guy in the division at that time will be Jalalov. That's my prediction. And mark it down 4 years from now. Mark it down 4 years from now.
Let me write it down on my calendar.
Yeah.
Listen, don't get our hopes high. So you're saying that there's that you said 2022?
2023.
2023. All right. So no undisputed heavyweight champion till then.
Yeah, because I know some guys are like Usyk, but unfortunately nobody in the PBC is ever going to fight him. You see, what's going to happen is they're going to have to deal with a mandatory in that situation, and I feel the PBC is going to lose that belt to Hrgovic. I think Hrgovic is eventually going to get mandatory with the WBC, get the fight in the next 3 years. He'll take that belt, while a guy like Dubois will start to take over and end up in a super fight, kind of like Vlad with AJ. And he'll end up taking out AJ and ending his career in 2022. And 2023 will lead into Dubois versus Hrgovic. Because I can see Usyk starting to slow down at that point with his feet. And he'll probably get picked off by one of those guys eventually after too many wars. Because he's not big enough and robust enough to take it.
Wilder and Fury and Joshua, they won't be the faces of the heavyweight division. Like, basically, they're not going to stand out as we think that one of them will.
No, the golden era is going to... They're going to probably be like... AJ will probably end up being the second or third guy of that era. But I genuinely feel as though Dubois...
Interesting.
Dubois is so young and so dangerous, and... I feel he's so similar to AJ. I just feel like youth is so much on the kid's side. And then you've got Filip Hrgovic, who I think is an extremely skilled fighter. And then I've got Jalalov being that guy who can be in the mix and cause big issues. Like, anyone in the chat who's seen Jalalov, you can back me up on that. Like Shep and Duck, they can back me up on how good Jalalov is. He hits like an absolute freight train. He's got good boxing skills. And most importantly, Jalalov is Uzbekistani.
So
you need to learn to love like Jalalov.
Guys, even his name says it all. Jalalov, love. Give him some love, man. I'm gonna look more into this guy then. Jalalov.
Yeah.
So what?
He just won the amateur championships at super heavyweight, the 2019 World Amateur Championships.
How old is he again?
How old is he? Jalalov, I think he's 24, 25. He's a 6'7" southpaw, weighs about 240 pounds. He is already a pro with a 100% knockout record.
Ooh, interesting. So, in your opinion, we're focusing on the wrong boxers at this moment, where like Fury, Wilder, and Joshua, we're like really focusing on these guys when the future, the best part basically is about to come later. Like
pretty much we're in the prelude to the moment.
Ooh, the moment. Let's get the moment.
Remember in the 80s when Mike was coming through and we had a decent crop. But then it was the guys who were coming through like Mike, Lennox, Holyfield, Riddick. That's when shit started to go off in the 90s. But in the late 80s, early 90s, people were talking about other guys, but they put too much emphasis on them, and then all of a sudden the guys who came through from that Olympics and the Olympics prior, they ended up becoming the main guys.
Yeah, that's a good comparison. It's true. I mean, we weren't expecting Mike Tyson to come out. Like, we were expecting other boxers to be the faces of the heavyweight division. The face of the heavyweight division. By the way, Dead Game is in the chat saying #1 Bomb Squad. he's going to disagree with Mark because he believes that Deontay Wilder will be champion until maybe 40 years old. So there you have it.
He's entitled to.
Absolutely. This is what we want.
Gets beat by Philip Hrgovic when eventually Hrgovic is true. I don't think Dillian White's going to be the guy that beats him. I think it's going to be Hrgovic, and I think Hrgovic is going to steamroll that division. Hrgovic reminds me so much of Vitaly. It's
when you mentioned.
Go ahead.
When you mentioned Usyk just a minute ago.
Oh yeah.
I forgot to throw that in the mix, man.
Yeah.
This in Hunter as well. We got Wilder, Reese, Fury, Usyk, White, AJ, Hunter, Parker,
and all the talent coming
Kalmaki.
Through as well. And all the talent coming through as well.
It looks more fractured. It looks more broken than what it really is. We got fighters right now, but it just looked like it's in disarray.
Go to that Ring Magazine list there, Bucho, for a second. Right. So let's scroll down it a little bit. I'm gonna let's just remove Lewis, Ortiz, and the role, right? And let's change that top 10, and then let's literally just put in these 3 fighters: Usyk, Michael Hunter, and one of the prospects coming true. So Hrgovic or Dubois, either one of them. And look at that top 10 in terms of danger. Look at how good it is.
Yeah. And fresh talent, right? Because now you have like a Povetkin that's still there, but I mean, this guy he's old now. Pulev as well. Ortiz, I mean, too. Please. So we have basically just Dylan White, Parker, Nowaki that are like fresh, if you want to use that term. And Ruiz too.
Fuck around, watch Butcher say Ortiz is out and he becomes champion on Saturday.
Yeah, imagine. And I forget about Usyk. So wait, hold on. Maybe I missed that. But Mark, where do you see Usyk in this whole thing? For your 4-year prediction?
I see him becoming the WBO champion when he beats Joseph Parker next year.
Okay, but you don't see him in that top 4 or 5, right?
I see him in the top, but I see him holding that WBO belt and maybe unifying with Joshua, and maybe one of them will end up winning, but neither of them will end up getting that fight with Wilder. And it's going to take another fighter to get mandatory to get the belt away from PBC. And I feel that'll be Hrgovic who does that. But as Usyk starts to, or Joshua has the mandatories, they'll start to pile up. And the competitive fights, and eventually a young gun like Dubois is going to come through and get that victory.
Interesting.
Who you got as the gatekeeper?
Huh?
Who you got as a gatekeeper?
I actually genuinely feel like in the next 3 years, depending if he wants to keep going, I think...
you broke up. Who
was it?
Ruiz and Parker.
I had Parker as a gatekeeper. I have him right now.
He's already a gatekeeper.
You want to get into the top 10, you need to beat Parker. Okay, basically.
Yeah, it's so funny, right? Because Joseph Parker's still young, and now he's already a gatekeeper.
Or Otto Wallen.
Tough guy. Yeah. He's a test now.
Not bad. He got a little confidence boost off the last performance. Guys, maybe some
Joey Gamashi.
Real quick, maybe somebody in the chat can help me out with this. This is a stupid one. What's that song? It goes like this. La 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 la. What's that song?
Isn't it a Bob Marley song? I don't know, man.
Yeah, it's a reggae song. It's a reggae. Okay, it's Bob Marley. I gotta find it because I'm getting inspired. That could be a theme song for your boy. Ja la 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 love. Ja la 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 la.
That's a good point. You should create a song like that.
Listen, I already got 2 parody songs. I already got a Luis Ortiz parody song. The Rap Jabber. Triple JJJ in the chat calling me the Rap Jabber. I love it.
What happened to the song you showed me?
For the Puppet Show.
Puppet Show. Oh my god.
All right, Alan R in the chat says, you know something stank in Denmark when Ward was allowed to foul the ish out of Kovalev in the rematch. In Denmark? What?
Inner Circle Sweat.
Nordic Warrior Gaming says BDA is that boring people are literally saying la 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 la. No, it's not la 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 la. It's la 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 la.
Ja-la-la-la-la love. Ja-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la love.
That's right.
Oh, ja-la-la-la-la. All right, yo, I'm gonna jump off, boys. I'm gonna get to writing this one.
All right, go ahead, man.
I'll
Thanks
get
for
back to
joining
you in a
us.
week, and I still got that Anastasia Lomachenko track I got to
Yes,
drop. So
that's the
I got a
one.
few saved up.
We can't wait, man. All right, go ahead.
All right, peace, y'all.
Take care.
Peace.
Beautiful.
Amazing. James Doherty says, try rap instead, please. Yeah, I don't want to hear Revolution rap, so...
I already have Wise Decision video.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting what you mentioned, Mark, about your 2023 prediction. That's going to be the golden era, right? So we're approaching the golden age of the heavyweight division.
I'll watch next year, and then as we lead into 2021, because next year Usyk's going to become a world champion, in my opinion. Joshua's going to fight Pulev. Him and Usyk may fight in 2021. Wilder's probably going to keep hold of that belt and fight Kovnatsky and a couple of other PBC guys. He'll end up becoming the PBC champion as well. Eventually, that WBC belt will end up having to be fought probably in 2022 when Wilder slowed down a bit, 2022, with probably Hrgovic, who they'll really be pushing. But Wilder may have had to fight as mandatory against Dillian White. This is, of course, if Tyson Fury doesn't beat Wilder. This is all speculation. And it'll be very interesting. And Kovnatsky could beat Wilder. I'm not saying any of this, but this is what I genuinely think. I feel as though an era is about 5-6 years, and it started in 2017, and we need to let it play out. And unfortunately, the guys who were at the top, like Wilder and Fury let his era go down with his antics and his drugs and his trying to kill himself. And then you have Wilder, who, let's be real, he just didn't do enough. And as time's going on, he hasn't improved. He's going to start to slow down. And then we're going to have these other guys coming through looking for it, and they're hungry.
Yeah, because it's going to get pretty tough for him, Mark.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's going to get pretty tough to him when he gets to that point where he might be able to get that 51-0. Nah.
Be right back.
If he's going to take bumps, yes. I don't like to use that word, but anyways, he's got 6 years left. He's got 9 fights to go or something. By 2022, he got to face at least 3 or 4 guys that are solid.
Pretty much, and he's fighting twice a year right now. So he's not going to do that by 2022. Because this year he's had 2 fights. Next year he'll probably have 2 fights, the 2 Fury fights, if they happen. And then if he comes through both of them, he's going to fight probably Kovnatsky. And then Kovnatsky and White in 2021. And then his next mandatory will be called in 2022, which will more than likely be Hrgovic if he keeps winning. It's interesting how it works.
Yeah, if the Wilder Joshua fight would have happened, that would have been a good moment. I mean, it is what it is now. So yeah, everybody lost momentum. Fury definitely did also.
Pretty much they reset their momentum, Gonzalo. They reset their momentum themselves by not having the fights. That's why we're going into this next stage. Because if Fury had have kicked on from after the Klitschko fight, fought Klitschko again, beat him, and then he had have fought Wilder, that golden era would have already started. Then Joshua would never would have had to go pick up the belts. To get his title, he would have had to have fight Fury or Wilder. And that's when that era would have been really cemented already.
See, for in the future, if we're going to want to see the big fights, it's kind of like to where Matchroom is going to have to do in-house in the zone as well, because if you're going to have a jock over here in PVC and 3 or 4 prospects on the zone side, I mean, are they going to fight each other? And when they do, they're going to want to make it for millions upon millions. You're still going to get these dry spells because fans are going to want to see the fights sooner rather than later.
100%. We've been, It's November right now, Gonzalo, yeah? It's November. This month, 20 years ago, was the last time two champions fought to unify the division to be feud. Like where two separate champions did. Evander Holyfield and Lennox Lewis. In November 1999. It's 2 decades.
Yeah.
We've been waiting. We've been crying out for something like this. And just when you feel it can happen, it gets further and further apart. So I feel
over
like
marinating kills it. Tragedies happen, unforeseen occurrences, the envy between the promotional entities. You know, I think it's a lot of envy. I mean, it's a dog eat dog world, but shit, come on, they're killing the momentum.
Yeah, pretty much. And all I really want to see is the best fights, and I feel like we're going to start getting some very good. I mean, people are looking at this AJ versus Ruiz fight, but there's another very good fight on that card. Alexander Povetkin, who's currently in the top 10 of Ring Magazine, he's fighting one of the guys we mentioned who could be a part of this era in Michael Hunter, who's coming through. He's very fast. He's an issue. He's got stamina and seems to have a pretty good chin. And he kind of reminds us a bit of his dad. And he'll be an issue. I'm not saying he'll probably be a world champion, but that's a very good fight. And that leads on to other fights next year with Usyk Parker, maybe Usyk Chisora, which is being talked about. Both of those fights are being talked about, but it'll probably be Usyk versus Parker. And then AJ will probably end up, if he beats Ruiz, fighting Pulev. But if Ruiz beats we both know both men are vacating the WBO. PBC don't recognize the WBO belt, and Eddie Hearns already says they'll vacate the WBO belt because they'll be able to put it into the hands of a matchroom fighter.
So you see that fight as a 50-50 fight?
AJ and Ruiz?
Yes.
Bruh, it's hard not to. Like, I favor AJ. Yeah. I do favor AJ because I favored him in the first fight, and for whatever reason, like, it's whatever. But Andy Ruiz, he's a bad stall for AJ, and he can beat him. And if anyone's like, how do I know he can beat him? Look what happened in the last fight. He fucked him up.
Definitely 50-50
It's hard to bet against a guy who fucks somebody up. But if AJ comes back, and if some of the things that people are saying were true, like he was off, he was concussed, if they are true, he'll be a different machine in this fight. And we need to see that. So we'll only know after the fight if it's styles make fights or if AJ was off. Do you know what I mean, Gonzalo?
Yeah, he's making some pretty bold statements for that matter. No, he's like, you're going to have to bow down to me.
I like that shit, though. I do like that from Mr. Holmes.
Yeah. We'll have maybe a few snowflakes saying, oh, no, why is he saying that? But anyways.
I was sent an article from Boxing here by Pete. Pete sent me this article, and it's talking about Deontay Wilder complaining that he's not the next black superstar because his people are not supporting him enough. I didn't get Mayweather support.
Fred Barbershop goes down to his gym and puts a lot of information in his ear. That stuff.
You think so?
Yeah, man, that dude's fucking... That whole movement... I think the PBC's trying to get away from that that look.
Yeah.
Think about it, Bucho. They have a girl with the English accent, you know, and it's like very like catered to not just one thing, but you know, they're open about that. They have it from other nationalities, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they have now they have Pacquiao, they have they always had Leo Santa Cruz. What else do they have? I mean, I don't understand. I made a video about it, right? Like, I don't understand where some of these LDBC fans think that the PBC is a civil rights movement, right? That's there to help Black American boxers. They're about money, right? So now some of these PBC channels are realizing, LDBC channels are realizing that the PBC is not there to. They're not they're not down with their struggle, if you want to call it a struggle, right? And I don't know, I just find it very interesting. And like you said, I don't think the PBC wants anything to do with that, with those channels. And so they're slowly just kicking them out.
Yeah, they got like 170 fighters. And They got Filipinos, I think, from the Manny Pacquiao side of the house. They got Ron Gavril. What nationality is his? And I know they have a few Europeans. They have a lot of Americans, yes. But in that mix, they have Mexican Americans. They have Mexicans, and they have black fighters, obviously.
Yeah.
You know, white fighters too. You got Caleb Plant, a few others here and there, but the notable superstars. I mean, what's the whole idea that that's the way it was supposed to be? The
well, exactly. I don't.
Pro black.
I don't understand. When did it become? What indication? I don't know. Maybe because it's run by a black man, which is Al Heyman, and so they assume that. Well, no, I don't know. Listen, I don't know why they started believing this. That the PBC is a pro-black promotional company. It's not. They're just there to make money. That's why they're working with Pacquiao. That's why they said like, it's a good idea if Pacquiao starts fighting our fighters. And so they signed
it. You know, think about it. It's nothing wrong with being proud of being African American. Obviously not. I mean, it's all. But look, I was listening to that one guy barbershop. They don't like other fighters of nationalities. They kind of hate, like real hate. If you ain't black, they're not having it, man. That's kind of like the fucked up thing about it.
Yeah, it's not that like, oh, you shouldn't support black fighters. I mean, you can support whoever you want.
I went in on this earlier. I'm sure a lot of people seen it. I went on a mad one over this. I'm gonna be much more relaxed, but if you look at it like this, Pucho, right? So Deontay Wilder said in an interview with Frederick. He had an interview with him, and he said, he said to Wilder, do you think if your skin complexion was different, you'd be a star? That's what he said to him.
Mm.
That is the most basic race baiting crap you'll ever see. And Wilder goes ahead and says yes.
Wow.
So what I'm going to say is, right? Now, I know some people have their own lists or whatever, their own things. But if you look at most historical top 10 heavyweights of all time, by like registered historians, etc., people who've written books like Burt Sugar, you'll be lucky if you find one fighter in that top 10 heavyweight list. You'll be very lucky. And maybe the name that might come up for some people might be one of the Klitschko's or Jack Dempsey. And some people might say Gene Tunney. But Gene Tunney, most of his work was actually done at light heavyweight. So
that's right.
You need to look at that, and you'll see some people might say Marciano. But if you go into the pure history, you'll see guys saying Langford, you'll see guys saying Wills, then you'll see people saying Jack Johnson, you'll see Sonny Liston come up, Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield, Lennox Lewis, George Foreman, Muhammad Ali, Larry Holmes. Are you seeing a pattern here?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Now, just going back to what did Fred ask Wilder exactly?
If you had a different skin complexion, do you think you'd be more loved than a star?
Okay.
And Deontay Wilder said, if I was a little bit whiter and a little bit nicer, I'd be a star. A little bit whiter and a little bit nicer, I'd be a star. So, let's talk about that for a second. Who's a bigger name, Sonny Liston or Deontay Wilder?
Well, Sid Liston.
Right. How horrible of a person was Sonny Liston?
Well, wasn't he an asshole?
He was Wilder doesn't go anywhere near this. He wants to talk about catching bodies. Liston killed people.
Yeah, I was gonna say, didn't he kill somebody or something? Okay.
So, like, let's get real. Let's just get real. And you're talking about black fighters and everything, and all black fighters don't get the same thing as. Let's have a look at this, right? So, the biggest pay-per-views of all time in the history of boxing. Mayweather McGregor, black and a white guy. Mm-hmm. Oscar De La Hoya versus Mayweather, Mexican and a black guy. I know Mexican-American Gonzalo, but a Mexican for all intents and purposes. If you go and you have a look at Pacquiao versus Mayweather, an Asian and a black guy. Evander Holyfield versus Tyson twice. Lennox Lewis versus Evander Holyfield. Lennox Lewis versus Tyson. Black men. Tyson McNeely. Oh my God, a white boxer. Because McGregor, he was actually not so much. Manny Pacquiao Marquez, an Asian and a Mexican. Trinidad versus Oscar, a Puerto Rican and a Mexican. What have all of those guys got really in common? They're all ethnic fighters. They're all deemed the minority, yet they're the ones who are doing the most in the sport, not the white hope. The white hope died out in the 20s and people are holding on to it for so long. That stuff doesn't exist anymore. And it's just people pushing that stupid agenda. Like, if that was the case, why on earth is Alexander Usyk not making 80 million a fight when he's this white guy? Why is Tyson Fury making less money than Deontay Wilder?
The best example
is
Klitschko, though. He got kicked out of HBO because he was boring. Remember that? So if just being white gets and that champion on top of heavyweight champion on top of that, I mean, Klitschko should have been super famous in the United States. Oh, he's a white guy. He's the champion, heavyweight champion. No, they didn't care.
So that's pretty.
But
much
it also can be like, also look, Mark, that when you have an exceptional good fighter, and I'm not talking about the heavyweights like Lomachenko, they'll water down the content to where it's not really objective when you say that a prospect in Devin Haney will beat him, and you're not giving credit to where credit is due. You can't even follow those type of channels if you want to be a good boxing fan, you know? Never mind that it sounds racist. If you're racist, that's up to the individual. But if you're a boxing fan, you still want to like prove good points. How can you do that when you discredit the guy just basically because, well, it has a direct relation with race.
Yeah. You can't take it.
But it also means that you don't know your boxing.
You don't know your boxing. You
gotta reckon. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, your opinion shouldn't be taken into consideration because your criteria is based on race. I mean, that, you know what I mean? It's.
No. Let's talk about race for a second, right? I'm gonna bring up some names, right? I'm gonna throw in. There's gonna be one Mexican guy who appears in this because there was 12 fighters of the year in this decade, right? But one of them is Mexican. But watch this. In 1980, the Ring Magazine Fighter of the Year was Tommy Hearns. In 81, Sugar Ray Leonard and Salvador Sanchez, they tied. In 82, Larry Holmes. In 83, Marvin Hagler. In 84, Tommy Hearns. In 85, Hagler. In 86, Tyson. In 87, Holyfield. In 88, Tyson. And in 89, Pernell Whitaker. So outside of Salvador Sanchez, what have all those fighters got in common for that entire decade? In every year there, because Ray Leonard in 81 and Sanchez, they tied, and in 85, Hagler and Curry tied. In every year there, what have pretty much all of them got in common outside of Sanchez? Were all what?
They're all great fighters. They're all great fighters because I'm a boxing fan first, but they're also African Americans.
They are. So for you to turn around and tell me that you can't make it because of the color of your skin when an entire decade was completely destroyed by black fighters. The next decade, you had a couple more Hispanic guys coming through, like you had Chavez. But guess what? 91, Tony. 92, Bo. 93, Carbajal. 94, Roy Jones Jr. 95, De La Hoya. 96, Holyfield. 97, Holyfield. 98, Mayweather. 99, Ayala. Bit more of a split. Right? Then in the 2000s, the first one is Trinidad. Then you've got Hopkins, Vernon Forrest, James Toney, Glenn Johnson. Then you have the token white boy, Ricky Hatton. Then you have Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao again twice.
Yeah.
Great African American fighters, great fighters. And if boxing is becoming more global, but then they want to say, well, the United States. Yeah, well, if it is kind of like the center of the world, it's because they're coming to fight here in Vegas, but in the United States, people should be proud of the fact that they're hosting an international sport as boxing in the United States. It doesn't mean that it's taking the shine away from American fighters. No, this is the host. It could be seen as the host country, but a lot of people get envious of that. They don't like it.
That's true. Yeah.
You know what? We hear a lot. Let me say this. In 1930, Max Schmeling won Fighter of the Year. Yeah, it wasn't until 58 and won it, and in 59 with Ingram on it. So that's 3. Then it wasn't until 68 with Nino Benvenuti. That's 4, right? And then all the way up until 2005. 5 winners from 1930 till 2005, right? Were European. Then, if you look at it like this, from 1928-29, and then rule out 30, so true, 39, we had 11 US. Then the 40s, all US. Then the 50s, we had 8 winners from the US, 2 from Europe, the same guy. Then it gets a little bit crazy in the 60s because Patterson, Joe Brown, then Dick Tiger won it twice. Emil Griffith won it, but it's mostly US again, but Cuba comes into it. Then you look at the 70s, everybody except for Monzon and Zarate, US. You look at the 80s, everyone bar Sanchez, US, right? You look at the 90s, everybody bar Chavez, US. The 2000s, you've got a Puerto Rican, a UK, a 3-time Filipino, thank God for Manny Pacquiao, and a Jamaican. And then the rest, US. In the 2010s, people are saying that there's a European agenda because for the last 5 years, European fighters have won it. Usyk, Lomachenko, Frampton, Fury, and Kovalev.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go and you look at it, 90% of all the Ring Magazine Fighters of the Year just happen to be from what country? The United States. European agenda, my damn ass, man.
Yeah, that was bullshit. Not only
because there's a European agenda because we've got 4.5% of the Ring Magazine Fighters of the Year, when for most of the sport's history it was completely climatized around America.
Shouldn't it be the opposite when racism was extremely prevalent? That you should be getting, well, not extremely prevalent, but yeah, it should be the opposite. You should be getting more white fighters in the past as fighters of the year. But the European agenda, that was bullshit. We know it's... Listen, what kind of numbers was Golovkin and... Especially Golovkin, what kind of numbers was he making on HBO, though? He was making decent viewers. He had decent viewers. And why would HBO pull the plug on boxing because of an East European agenda? Like, and by the way, the fact that they had a lot of they were showcasing European boxers was because they didn't have any boxers left. Golden Boy went over to Showtime, if you guys remember. So, and also Top Rank pulled their fighters out of HBO. So HBO didn't have anything left. So they're like, well, we're going to start showcasing Golovkin. And he's exciting. And he's fighting 3 times a year. Oh, let's start showcasing Kovalev as well. And so that's what happened. It wasn't an intentional thing where they went out and looked for white European boxers.
Well, here's the thing, Bucho. Isn't it so funnily hypocritical that this guy, Fred, he was accusing HBO and white people, and then the other day it's to literally like the PBC, LBBC agenda and the blacks supporting blacks and the bigging up and protecting of fighters in favoritism because of their race, and then accusing everyone else in the white TPZ of doing it without any fucking evidence.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah, and also we want to get a mixture of, I know this is going to sound controversial, of exciting fighters. If you're always going to go on the back foot like Mayweather, I mean, we got power punchers like Deontay Wilder, good punchers as narrow spins, the Charlos can pop, but we want to see fighters go toe-to-toe and show us a mixture of fighting, not just back foot click style.
Yeah, it was so funny when people were defending Floyd's style just because they wanted to defend Floyd. And so they started to create this narrative that, well, it's called boxing skills, and like I enjoy it because I'm a connoisseur of the savant of the sport. But it's bullshit. You were just saying that you enjoyed Floyd's style because you needed to defend Floyd. No one in their right mind would like enjoy Floyd's fight. Come on.
Yeah, and in hindsight, you give credit to the talent. Same could be said. Okay, to be fair. The European and Klitschko, yeah, he was born at that, but he was dominant. Yeah, so it's not just like a one-way street thing.
Yeah. Klitschko, at least sometimes he knocked out his opponents. I'll give him that. But also, he sometimes he fought very scared, and he was a big guy. Anyways, I don't want to get into a Klitschko thing. People are gonna get pissed off.
Yeah, I was just trying to put in some equality in.
No, yeah.
You know what I mean.
Hey, but listen, he got kicked out of HBO because his fights were boring. So
yeah,
there's no racism there, right? Is there?
Yeah.
I don't know. Nordic Warrior Gaming says, I'm a whole lot worse than the LDBC. I don't know if that's good or bad. What else in the chat? The Funk Tapper says, many become boxing snobs to big up Floyd. Exactly. Boxing snobs, yeah. Boxing nerds, I should say.
Yeah, I think racism begets racism. When certain fighters, certain fans think one way, just everything gets really toxic. People are gonna fight back. They're gonna fight racism with racism.
Yeah. Virtuoso, thank you for the contribution. He says, boxing is still a tribal sport with shifting demographics of poor ethnic minorities getting rich, competing with each, but hold on, competing which, but who? God damn it! Hold on. Jesus Christ, I'm getting okay. Virtuoso says boxing is still a tribal sport with shifting demographics of poor ethnic minorities getting rich, competing with each. But who runs these platforms? But who runs these platforms? Who present the sport? I think I missed a message here. Boxing is still a tribal sport with shifting demographics of poor ethnic minorities getting rich, competing with each. But who runs these platforms? Who runs these platforms? Who present the sport? I think you're saying who controls the sport? Who's on top of the sport?
Hopefully, talent and real skills represent the sport, regardless of race.
Oh, my mic. Yeah. Nordic Warrior saying the LDPC are beta males. Okay. The Lemus Lofty says Nordic Warrior Gaming, at least the LDPC has balls to show their face. Who is the beta male here? Yeah, I don't like that beta male, alpha male thing. Because it's like it's overdone now. Like the alt-right, it's kind of losing its steam, man. Because I was into the whole alt-right thing, but now it's just becoming some weirdos like I'm an alpha male, and everything has it's a cycle, man. Everything's a cycle.
There's this guy. Yeah, go
ahead.
There's this guy in the LDBC that comes out with Fannin. His name is Curtis. I like the way he speaks. He's got real good boxing knowledge.
Oh yeah, he was in that other show. Actually, he showed up on our show at some point.
Okay, but I heard him talk. Man, that guy knows his boxing. Doesn't mean that everybody is fucked up. You can't.
No, he knows his boxing. But remember when he was on the BDA Boxing show, he began. Well, he was saying something. Oh yeah, he believed in the HBO drop. The reason why HBO pulled the plug on boxing was because their East European agenda failed. Like he believes that. And I've encountered a lot of.
I'm not sure if that was the Curtis guy or his co-host. I think it was his co-host.
No, it was him. It was the older guy.
Okay.
The older guy.
I think it's the older guy.
It was him. He said that. Listen, I've talked to many LDBC fans, whatever you want to call it, the LDBC guys, and some of them, like you said, they know their boxing sometimes, but then they come up with these crazy fucking narratives and beliefs that I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, why? Like, for example, this example, HBO pulled the plug on boxing because of the East European agenda. Their East European agenda failed. How did that fail if Golovkin was making great numbers on HBO?
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's based on nothing. No facts, no nothing. It's European agenda. That's why it failed. What's going to be the excuse for Showtime? Is that because of his European agenda? Well, are they going to pull the plug on boxing because of an East European agenda as well? No.
I guess if you're around something that's really bad after a while, you can't really notice the difference. Just like when you're traveling near like a farm where there's like a lot of manure and and animal dung, you pass by there, you're gonna smell it. But if you go living there after a while, you won't notice the difference between the smell, after you've been there. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
You surround yourself by a certain element.
Yeah.
After a while, you don't notice.
Exactly, because it's an echo chamber. And by the way, Michael Stott says HBO shows are all about diversity. Exactly. I mean, these guys are far left, man. G Boogie says, thank you for the contribution. He says, if you are a true boxing fan, you should admire the talent that is on display from the pugilistic person that is displaying it, not because your personal narratives in ethnicity baiting. Exactly. It's about admiring what you're seeing in the ring, the skills that are being displayed.
Yeah, like if I tune into the LWC, then all of a sudden I hear reality. Like, for example, them speaking about Lomachenko, how good of a fighter he really is. I would have some respect for those guys. But then they would say, well, I think this guy could beat him, but, this guy, he is what he is. I mean, I think their audience would be that much bigger, and that's what the PBC is trying to get away. They don't want to limit their fan base because certain beliefs, right?
Yeah, sorry, I'm back. I had to mute for a few seconds. I missed whatever you said.
Yeah, basically, look, like if the LWBC would speak about a fighter, like in the true sense of like who he really is, like Lomachenko, I would have much more respect for those guys. I would even listen to him.
Oh, yeah,
if they'd say, yeah.
God.
And I think that's what the PBC is trying to like get away from, where people just have a certain narrative about one thing, because you limit your fan base, your audience.
Yeah. No, it's true. And then people won't take you seriously. But at this point, I don't think they care. No. They have their own community, and they don't care for example, what we think about them. They don't care. And I'm gonna be honest, some of these guys are race hustlers, and so they know what they're doing by saying some of these controversial things, and they don't care. Man, they don't care. They're getting some money out of this, so they're not gonna stop. They don't care about their credibility outside the LDBC. They don't care about that. As long as they have followers and some money coming in, that's it. They're gonna keep on saying whatever they have to say to keep those followers. And yes, they have to say some of the most stupidest thing you can ever fucking imagine.
Yeah,
they have to keep it always racial.
There's a lot of African Americans that listen to the show, and it's not like a race thing. You just have you have a faction of people that do that. But here, you have callers that are African American.
You know how you people get.
Pete coming in with the racism.
Like Dead Game, he's LDBC, right? But he's a regular caller.
No, Dead Game is not LDBC, man. He's a Wilder fan and whatever. You can be a Wilder fan.
90 seconds.
Yeah, I've seen his channel, Pucho. I think he says shout out to LDBC, but he's cool.
All right, we have a phone call here. Wait, hold on. God damn it. 292, you're on the air. 292.
292?
Sorry, 922. Man, I'm all over the place. Yeah. 929. 929. All right.
Yeah.
60 seconds.
Who was it that said that HBO pulled the plug because the white European agenda failed? Who was it that said that?
Well, many LDBC channels, and this guy
Gonzalo.
No, Gonzalo mentioned this. Some guy. But every LDBC channel was saying this.
Some fucking jamoke who never worked in TV, who never worked in television before. That's probably the most baseless argument, or the most ridiculous reason. I mean, for years, I think HBO has been hemorrhaging money, and I think from my perspective, I think mixed martial arts has been applying pressure on boxing, in terms of delivering fights that fans want to see, and I think the most recent
10 seconds.
a snippet of the reason why they did it, like a press clip, and I read from a TV exec who worked for HBO. I forgot who his name was, but he said that we're not in the boxing business anymore. We're in the storytelling business. They're more about like showing like original shows and all that stuff, but they're not really investing in boxing because like there's other avenues really to watch the sport. And I guess because I guess the popularity has declined, in terms of viewership, that's to be the main reason. And it's just like it's really difficult to really keep it on TV if people are not supporting it. Like Showtime is starting to see its decline. Like they don't really like how much did they spend on fucking Brazil and fucking Wilder, and that shit flopped. There's a shitload of money, and the PBC is like they dip their hands in different channels, so it's not going to be about one channel over the other. It's going to be which content is better.
Yep.
Content is king. And for me, I think I understand that there's a little like hype for European fighters, namely Golovkin and Lomachenko, because their rise to fame, it basically coincided with the end of Mayweather's career. So I guess they wanted that. I guess you may say great white hope, but it's not really that. I think there really is an animosity because of social issues in this country, mainly America. It's still racist. The racism issue still prevails, but it really ain't shit. If these guys are making bank, Mayweather's making bank. There's a few of them that doing all right. It's just they're being spoiled by the money. So it's like it's not really that much of a big deal. If a white boxer gets a little shine, it's really
what do you mean
big
shine?
deal.
What are you talking about shine, man?
Especially one that doesn't know how to speak English. They need to be promoted because of equity. Hey, this guy can't really are not really fluent in English. So you have he's really good. Then he needs promotion. Just for that.
That's right.
Yeah. PT's asking, what do you mean by shine?
Shine, like attention.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Oh, great points.
Yeah. That's all I got. It's like it's boxing is like it's a sport. It's not it's part of combat sports. Not everybody is a modern citizen, so it's kind of promoted lightly. Compared to football or basketball or baseball players here. So that's just how it is, man. Just gonna have to deal with that.
Yep, makes sense, man. All right, anything else?
Yeah. No, that's it, man.
All right, great call, man. Thanks for calling. Call back again next time. Take care. All right, more interesting points here. Yeah, listen, there's the reason why HBO pulled the plug on boxing is like the caller said. It wasn't because of Andy's European agenda. That is ridiculous.
What do you mean, Bucho? What'd you say?
Because remember some LDBC fanboys were saying that the reason why HBO pulled the plug on boxing was because their East European agenda that they had failed. It failed them. They weren't getting the numbers that they would have gotten if they would have showcased African American boxers. That's bullshit because Golovkin was doing great numbers, and Kovalev as well, and so that's not what that's not the reason why.
They're not doing any numbers. That's the thing. That it's a subscription channel. The question is this: we're devoting funds towards Game of Thrones, Sopranos, blah blah blah, documentaries, and we're also got sports, right? Real sports, NFL, the NFL shows, and we got boxing too. So if it comes to a point where either it's a pain in the ass to get the product because these promoters are all separating, and we got advisors coming in now and taking fighters away. Bottom line to it, they're putting the shit on at 11 o'clock at night for a reason. You know what I'm saying? Is it? Are we gaining subscribers because of this, or are we? Do they not give a shit? I think it's pretty clear that the subscribers, if you're subscribing to HBO, unless you're us, that's probably the only thing I subscribe to it for is boxing. But we're about 10% of the population. Everybody else is watching Game of Thrones and everything else on there. So
yeah,
it's just. I mean, shit. They were in the game for what, 30 years?
Yeah,
maybe more.
A little bit
20
more,
years.
I think. Well, from the 80s, yeah. So 30 something.
Yeah, they weren't pushing the Eastern European agenda for 30 fucking years. They were just paying money to a promoter to televise a product, and
yeah, in the chat,
Showtime got out for the same reason, man.
In the chat, God of War says HBO just didn't want to compete with the Zone. They make a lot of money. They make a lot more money with their TV show. The TV shows. Yeah, it's true. They retain more subscribers. It's common sense.
They retain more subscribers because of their series than they do because of boxing.
Of course, man. Game of Thrones was giving them all their subscriptions, man. Come on. It wasn't boxing. It wasn't boxing, man.
Come on.
They pulled the plug because they didn't want to compete anymore. They didn't have Top Rank either anymore. Top Rank was with ESPN. No, it's just they had De La Hoya, and that's pretty much it. They went like, you know what, fuck it. And Canelo's gonna be fighting on HBO pay-per-view anyways. So
now Showtime, they might as well get out of boxing because they got that.
They have Tank Davis.
What's that thing's name? Oh,
what?
Oh, anyway, I'm not gonna get insulting, but anyway, they got Clarissa Shields, they got Tank Davis. But let's be real about it. Like,
thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
Go ahead.
You're welcome. You're welcome. They, I mean, listen, how do you call it? They took a knowing loss with that Wilder Brazil fight, only to try to stay in the game with Wilder for his future pay-per-view fights, but they should have fucking known better. They cut that deal with Fox pay-per-view. It's going to be the way it is. And to go back to what Migsy Boy was talking about earlier, the problem with trying to figure out where these guys are, the trajectory is going to take them with the belts and everything, is these belts are devaluing themselves so quickly that shit, the WBC could make Wilder the franchise champion, and then all those predictions completely get sidetracked. Forget mandatories and all this. Wilder has to fight somebody not because he wants to be great or because he wants to be Floyd or Floyd doesn't give him any props or because his skin color is too dark. And by the way, he should get that Michael Jackson, that bleaching treatment, cut his nose off and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think that's going to help him if he's wearing a mask and want to get pregnant. Anyway, the point I'm making is this, right? He's going to be fighting on pay-per-view from here on out. Espinosa's all pissed because he doesn't like, how do you call it, forced risk? What was he saying that one time, Bucho? We like that. He doesn't like forced risk.
Yeah, it was forced risk, yeah.
Forced risk.
Forced.
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. Oops. 4, 3, 2.
Jesus. Okay, go ahead.
So, like, bottom line is he's gonna have to fight on pay-per-view from here on out, right? You saw the promotion, and I'm not talking about the actually Fox pay-per-view does a pretty damn good job of promoting the fight because of all their sports channels, cable channels, right? I will say that. But like, you saw the face-off with him and Ortiz, man.
Terrible.
I mean, we're hardcore fans. I'm going to watch that fight because I know what I'm looking for and everything else. But if you just were like flipping through the channels and you saw that face-off, what the hell would you think? Looks like two guys.
I kind of heard. There was a statement Mauricio Suleiman put out that kind of made a little sense to why the franchise belt makes some sense. It's because, Bob Arum, if you got mandatories that are like not that popular to where you want to see the best fighting the best, I mean, you can make those fights happen. But look, Wilder, if he's avoiding his mandatories already and he's not fighting the best to where those could be really big money fights, well, the thing is he's not doing it. So, I mean, yeah, the franchise belt is to look for big fights to where you can bypass your mandatories, but then it's also for guys that are looking to move up and down in weight. Wilder ain't going to move down to cruiserweight, and there is no super heavyweight division. So he's in a position where he can fight the best, but he's not doing it even without a WBC franchise belt. because he's certainly not fighting his mandatories. So I mean, that's just
So basically the franchise bet wouldn't change anything in Wilder's career, right?
It just alleviates you having to pay step aside money is what it really does.
Oh yeah.
Listen, they want to see, these sanctioning bodies want to see money wise, pay-per-view wise, right? AJ and Wilder. I don't give a fuck about Ruiz coming up on AJ. I don't care. I don't care if
fuck is that?
If Luis Ortiz does what I think he's going to do, which is sit Wilder on his ass one time this Saturday. It don't matter, man. Revenue wise, money wise. All right. Yes, this rematch with Ortiz with AJ here, the Saudis stepped up and paid a good site fee. Okay, but I'm saying revenue wise, each one of those sanctioning bodies wants to have their belt on the line for AJ versus Wilder. So Wilder can fuck around from now till then.
What the fuck is that Christmas music playing?
What is it?
I hear Christmas music.
It sounds like Stu yelling in the background, like, I want to get on. The thing about it is this, right? Like, other than that,
beyond.
Recognize. What's up, baby? Step in here while I
What's going on, big man?
Get my thoughts together while I'm eating.
Yeah, eating a sandwich.
Are you pulling one of my moves?
Yeah, I'm working out. I gotta go work out, man.
When I'm really eating?
Working out, sure.
The fucking microwaves beeping in the background. And
No, working out.
Goes up. I'm working out. I'm talking like calmly as fuck.
All right, welcome to the show.
To this day.
To this day.
Yeah, we were talking earlier, way back, about the current state of the heavyweight division, whether it's as bad as some people claim it is, or are we just romanticizing the past? I think we agree that the 90s, I mean, for sure, the 90s heavyweight era was much better than what it is right now.
Yeah.
But if we go back 10 years, maybe it wasn't as bad. This era isn't as bad compared to 10 years ago.
No, I agree. I mean, look, if you compare skill-wise, the champion, basically the champion 10 years ago was Vladimir Klitschko, his brother. Am I missing somebody else?
Well, I have a Ring magazine here from 2008.
Right, so
James Toney.
James Toney a champion, maybe he was.
Big wide James Toney with his dreads on, yoked out James Toney.
But just with Vladimir and Vitaly alone.
Peter, Chagaev, Maskaev, Valuev, top 5.
Right. You can argue. Well, just look, the two guys with the brothers, right? They're at least to me, skill wise, they're better than Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder, even Tyson Fury.
Who's that? Klitschko's?
The Klitschko brothers, skill wise, I think they were better. But is it? I guess basically the question is it overrated or it's a bad era?
Yeah.
I mean, it's still going. So a lot of take Deontay Wilder. I think Deontay Wilder messes it up for me. When I look at the heavyweight landscape, here's a guy who hasn't fought his number one mandatories, his number one guy, the whoever was ranked number one. He hasn't fought Povetkin. He hasn't fought Dillian White. He's had offers to fight AJ. I mean, okay, do we give him credit for fighting Tyson Fury and a second fight with Ortiz? I guess so, but he's not fighting. He's not fighting his top mandatory guys. Like instead of a rematch with Ortiz, wouldn't we be right now? Wouldn't we be more excited if he was fighting Dillian White? And then you ask Wilder fans, they actually lie to you. No, it wouldn't be exciting. Like, what? Dillian White, you wouldn't be excited about fighting him?
Would they say that though?
Yeah, I've heard plenty of Wilder fans say that. Like, there's no need. There's no need for him to fight.
Yeah.
Dillian White. I'm like, really? You wouldn't be super excited that this guy who calls Wilder a bitch, right? I mean, he's actually called Wilder a bitch, crackhead. You wouldn't mind to see your guy put his, shut his mouth up? Or you're afraid that the other way around? It's like, it's just so afraid that you're going to you're gonna actually start lying and say, yeah, you know, I would prefer Ortiz because Ortiz is more of a threat, a guy he already beat.
They're not fight fans, bro. They're fucking. Listen, I'm trying to talk to boxing fans, right? That's why we're all here, right?
Exactly.
You could be a boxing fan. You could also be a race fan and all this, right? But if something else is superseding your interest in boxing, like race or like national origin, you know, where your country, what Olympics they fought in, what color gloves they're wearing, who they're there's a lot of, you know, you're free to, like, you know, rank your priorities wherever you want, you know, bucho, cocaine, wine, soccer,
absolutely,
in that order. But I'm just saying, like, if you got something ahead of boxing, right? I'm saying it's pretty obvious at the end of the day. It becomes obvious after you let them talk for a little bit, right? I'm saying just say that up front. You know what I mean? I don't mind you being in the LDBC. It's just like a group that talks boxing. It's supposed to be about boxing, but I'm just saying if something's superseding that, like race, then just fucking say that up front, right? Like, my criteria is this, right? Race, boxing skills, you know, total earnings, you know, dude, they have no idea why Deontay Wilder is not fighting his mandatories, you know. They're like refusing to. The bottom line to it is that Dillian White's the one that pulled out his phone and showed these guys the text messages that Wilder sent them, right? That when they interviewed him one time, he goes, "I'll show you what he sent me." He was getting interviewed in the UK, and he goes, "Look what he sent me." I told him, "Let's fight. Let's put this thing together." And he said, I don't got to do anything for about 3 years. This is the guy?
2 years. Yeah. I mean,
right?
and he said it proud. Like, he was proud that he has the politics to postpone a fight that, if you're a real boxing fan, you want to see a guy who earned a shot at the title. But the Wilder logic, the Wilder fanboy logic is, nah, we're about fucking you over outside the ring. That's why I don't fuck with them. That's why I don't fuck with, like, I don't want to talk boxing with you guys.
It's not. They're not talking boxing.
Yeah.
At the end of the
day,
about
bitch shit. Like, I want fights. I want fights in the ring. I don't care how it turns out. Let's see what happens. You know, that's what I want to see. Y'all want to see who's the better dresser. Yo, you hear what Wilder said? You heard what Tank said? Tank says he wears better Gucci, and, like, you're a faggot, man. Get out of here with that.
Oh,
sorry, you know, but you're not a real boxing fan.
You know we've been fighting 400 and still fighting to this day.
To this day.
Come on, man. Come on, man. Give me another chop. I'm sorry, we're all out.
805, you're on the air. 805.
I know Muslim, man.
What's up?
Hey, what's up, Bucho? It's Mike, dude.
Yeah, Doctor.
I wanted to chime in on this conversation, though.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Dr. 805.
Yeah. Pretty much like what I hear from these dudes that are big-time Wilder fans, it's like when it comes to what Recognize was just talking about with their mandatories, they have like a list of excuses that are like, that make Wilder to look out to be like this righteous man, you know, that he's squeaky clean and the PBC is like the most honest and honorable like boxing promotion. And all these other people, especially Eddie Hearn, Matchroom, they're all like corrupt and evil, and all their fighters are juiced and they're cheating and they're up to something no good. And Wilder's the one who's the righteous one, you know.
GEWS.
Who's got a bunch of Jews for fighters? Is that what they said about Eddie Hearn?
Jews. They said Jews.
Oh, my bad. My bad.
Well, this is a good show. We don't need to kick off.
No. Go ahead, Michael. Go ahead.
Sorry, Mike.
No, yeah, I'm just saying, like, it's when you try to mention these things to them about, you question, well, what about Wilder not facing certain mandatories or something? They're going to be like, well, Dillian White's a cheater. You know, Wilder doesn't have to fight.
So is Ortiz.
Let's not get it twisted. These mandatories are taking step-aside money, too. You follow me? They're not pushing it like they could push it. If you think about it now.
Contradict himself, Pete. If you think about it, like what Stott just said. He said that, and I've heard this. Well, Dillian White's a cheater. I'm like, well, so is old man Ortiz. He's got busted twice for performance enhancing drugs.
Yeah,
so
man.
why is your boy fighting him?
Dude, not for nothing. Like, I'm not a condescending person, right? I mean, I always got a lot to learn, man. So I'm always like paying attention to what everybody's saying. You saying, Michael, not so much Bucho, but anyway, the thing is, like, when you start talking about he's such a cheater, you know what I'm saying? You're either a personal fan of one of these guys, which I understand being a fan of this kind of style, right? Like Lomachenko, you know, like Pacquiao. I prefer that. I prefer a certain style of fight, right? But when you start going to lengths talking about so and so cheated, it starts getting very casual. Not that we don't need all. Everybody was a casual fan at one point, right? But
yeah, of course,
it's a hardcore boxing show. So and so got busted for steroids, tested positive. I hate Canelo's guts. You know, I don't like nothing about his style, about his fucking career path, about what he is for boxing. But one thing I'll never say about him is he got busted for clenbuterol. It's like, I don't give a fuck because it's just a freak thing. You know what I mean? They're all using. Let's not get casual about he's using and he's not. It's just that when you become a fan of one guy more than like the sport, then you're just like you're not a boxing fan, you're a Wilder fan.
Yeah, you're more of a fan of the individual. You're not a fan of boxing. You know, really, you're not. Again, like steroids and PEDs and all that stuff. We all know people use it. Like, we know that.
Fucking recognize getting the script live on the air the other night from
I got it right on there. I said,
fucking guy's acting, he's busting out. He's working out while he's eating in the microwave. He's going crazy over it. The thing is though, I mean, let's keep it real. They're professional athletes. They're whatever y'all do for work out there. All right, I hope you're giving yourself the best shot at doing whatever job you're doing. You know, I don't know if that means whatever you're doing. You know, so like. And if you're a professional athlete and you're not on some kind of program, well, then you're not going to be professional for long, I don't think. Because if everybody else, you know, it is what it is, man. It's part of pro sports. So I don't, you know, if they test positive, they're just retarded. But now that doesn't mean that it's like the Kovalev thing we were talking about last night, right? It's like the Kovalev thing. Like I'm not like a gigantic Kovalev fan, to be honest with you. I mean, some of his fights have been good, but he was on that HBO thing. He was like the only guy around at light heavyweight for a while on HBO, and he's a good fighter. But I've never been like a gigantic fan of the guy. But we could have a discussion about boxing.
Yeah,
where I'm sure Matrix not the biggest Canelo fan either, but. You know, we could have a discussion about it without turning it into, you know, who's got the prettier hair and the trunks and who's Mexican and who's not.
Well, let's, Michael, anything else?
If you're not white, I don't give a shit about you. That's what I'm trying to say.
We know that.
Just kidding.
Michael, anything else?
I just think it's an American trait, and I think it's just some sort of habit with Americans. They treat this almost like it's their favorite ball club, or football team, basketball team, something like that.
Yeah.
And they get like so attached to a certain a boxer, especially if they're American, and they're signed to an American promoter that kind of like appeals to them. Obviously, PBC is going to appeal to that demographic more than anything. So what's weird to me is just I would think that if they really thought they were the best, the PBC was the best, they would be pressuring the PBC to take on all the top ranks, best. Matchroom's best and meet with them, make a deal with them, and stop making it like they don't have to even mess with them because they're not real. Like Matchroom, that ain't real. Like they're all corrupt. Top rank, they're all corrupt. You know, PBC. Anyone who's with PBC, if you're in that, you know, then it's cool. Ortiz is cool because he's PBC. You know.
Yeah, and like
they don't understand the business of boxing. They are PBC fans. They're not fight fans. And I'm gonna tell you something else, man. I don't know if this American thing. I don't know what, you know, like no offense or nothing, but like it's not there's nothing. The people I'm talking about that are just they got something more important to them than boxing, but they're talking about it in a boxing format. They're all over the world, my man. Like that's a human trait. That's human nature to be a casual. You'd be a casual about anything. If I was an NFC fan more than an AFC fan, and I was constantly just harping on it. Well, like, how many football conversations can you get into me with before I turn it back to, which conference you're in? And I'm not even talking about the game. So it's like, political divisions and where you're from and where you were born. I mean, shit, I just told you, Lomachenko and Pacquiao happen to be that's my favorite style of fighting. So, I'm third generation from this country. It's not all Americans that think like that.
Are fans of styles and stuff like that more than anything. I don't think
boxing. Boxing.
Some people that call in, I think, or whatever. But most of you guys, it's like you guys discuss styles and stuff, and you're not really big on where they're from or their promotion and none of that.
Except Pete, he likes his white fighters. But
yeah, white, and on Matchroom and on DAZN.
Exactly.
Or else,
All right, Michael, thanks for that phone call. We're gonna take another one.
Alrighty, see you later.
Take care. All right, before I take the next phone call, I wanted to ask you guys, going back to the race baiting questions, I don't know if you guys listened to the show before, but Mark mentioned that Barbershop at some point asked Wilder, do you think that you would be more popular? Something along those lines. Do you think that you would be more popular if you were white? And then obviously Wilder said, of course I would, whatever. So my question is, can Wilder say anything else other than yes? Because if he says no, then he's afraid that he's like some black people are gonna go against him. Because then Wilder would be technically saying there is no racism. Racism doesn't exist. And so he's saying that he's trapped.
It's a way, for him to say no, he takes away his victim card, right? Because who's the most famous heavyweight of recent time? The most famous. Who was he?
Mike Tyson.
There you go. Right? That's my food.
Yeah, I can hear.
That's the stair climber. Hold on for a second.
No, but if he says no, but hold on, recognize. If he says no, that means that it could be interpreted as him saying there is no racism. There isn't any racism.
I mean, come on, there's racism. You see, I just don't like the way a lot of blacks paint racism. Racism is associated with white people only, meaning whites are racist. I mean, of course racism exists. There's plenty of black people that are racist. There's plenty of all race that can be racist. I mean, you're not going to ever get rid of that. That's not going to happen. So what's the point?
It's human nature to have biases.
Yeah, it's human nature.
The humans have never had any bias, that they were just like, those guys got killed off a long time ago. You know what I'm saying? Like, they just walked right up to a fucking wild animal, got eaten, and walked up to an enemy and got killed already. They've been weeded out. You're gonna have bias. You're gonna have biases.
What's Barbershop's point of bringing up if he was?
That's my point, man.
Right.
You're asking a question that a guy who will answer, Lord knows what he'll say if he asks the same question 2 days in a row. I mean, he probably had a mask on. He probably had a mask on and a Lamaze outfit and the whole fucking 9 yards. You know what I'm saying? He's probably
You know why he would be super famous if he was white and a heavyweight champion? It's because there hasn't been one in a long fucking time. Yeah, he might be.
That motherfucker could be darker than Wesley Snipes, right?
American white. Okay,
and if he's fighting all the mandatories and getting down like they did in the 90s, I'd fucking watch every fight of his, man. I would have a bad word to say about him.
I still think that there's no way he can answer no.
Well, he can answer whatever he wants, obviously. This guy can say whatever he wants. We know this. This guy's got no gag order. He's got no handler. True. This was one guy that does not take advice from... I'm sure Sam Watson a few times tried to explain something to him. And then probably 10 seconds later, he looked over and he was screaming at Radio Raheem, fucking yelling at him, like screaming at him.
Yeah, I know.
Sooner or later, you go... Yeah. Sooner or later, you go... Sorry, I'm crying, man.
All right, hold on. 929, you're on the air, 929.
Al goes, hey, Sam, what the fuck was that? Al, what do you want me to do, man? I told him.
Go ahead, 929.
Yeah, Bucho, this is Virtuoso. I called in earlier, a few calls ago about HBO and pulling the plug, but I forgot to answer the question about this current era of heavyweight boxing. They say that as the heavyweight division goes, so does boxing. In terms of casual, audience, which is a much larger than the hardcore base. I wouldn't say it's the most garbage. I would say it was the most compromised by network promotional disputes. It's like, to me, boxing right now is the most divisive point in history. Like, I've been through 3 different boxing groups. One shifted towards LDBC, and the other sort of white only type of shit, and then one that's down the middle. And you just read the divisiveness. It's always like skin politics involved in it, and it's always like there's drama around who the best fighter is, and like it really doesn't matter to me. It's like that is such horseshit. I mean, come on, guys. It's just 2 men fighting against each other. I know that people want to live vicariously to these fighters, but it's like they don't really. You really, in the long run, you guys, like the people who follow these fighters, right? They got no skin in the game. They don't support them. They don't support each other anyway. I mean, if Wilder were to lose, right? Would the LDBC still say like, yo, that's my nigga, win or lose, whatever? I don't know. That's not to be said, because like a lot of people that follow that really are beyond Deontay Wilder's nuts, and I know a few on Facebook. I won't name names, but they really come off as real casuals, man. They're not really boxing fans, man. And that's the type of shit that just irks me. It's just the divisiveness. It's like, oh, I like this brand of boxing better over this one. Oh, they got more fighters, but Top Rank, they're starving for fighters, for new fighters. PBC, they it's an embarrassment of riches, but they don't fight each other, man. To me, the heavyweight division is like these guys are not fighting each other. Yeah, it's top heavy. It's overrated. Yeah, like it's been overrated since the 1980s. But at least back then they fought each other.
Yeah.
As opposed to like, well, one of the black marks of the sport, in the heavyweight division was when Riddick Bowe threw the fucking belt, the WBC belt, in the trash can. I think that was a really black half of the sport, But right now, it's always this sniping, on fucking Twitter, this fucking Twitter beast, man. This Twitter finger shit. I hate that shit. It really irks me.
Thank you.
This is the most stressful time to be a boxing fan. That's all I gotta say, man. Thank you.
All right, thanks for that phone call.
That's 2019 though, too, man. You know what I'm saying, with the Twitter and the gossiping and all this bullshit, man.
Virtuoso brought up good points, man.
Yeah, it's a good call, man. Thank you, Virtuoso.
Yeah, but it's also getting more international to where we have superstars from all over the world. There's a power struggle.
There's not. Yeah. Gonzalo, he mentioned the 80s and the 90s. We kind of been coming in and out talking about it. They had one promoter. They had the Dana White UFC setup back then. I know there was more than one promoter, please, all right? But let's be real. They had one promoter. Aaron was like a little young buck back then. Getting into the game. Been around forever. King was running the fucking show.
70s, man.
Two promoters.
Two promoters. Okay, two promoters that had no other.
Never been a
nothing to do but make all the money. So they work with each other, no problem. But let's be real. Don King was the guy. They're putting on the biggest fights. The best fought the best. You got paid what the market was going to pay you. It's a big fight. They'll put it on pay-per-view and you'll get paid. But Don King, I'm going to blame it. I'm going to just talk about him. The Don King Act and all this stuff, Muhammad Ali Act. Reaching down and double dipping out of the manager's purse got him fucked up, and it got boxing bifurcated to where all these promoters are jumping in here. Now, Heyman's come along now, and as a manager, I'm a fuck advisor. He's coming in as a manager, and he's reaching up and double dipping as a promoter. He's doing it in reverse is what he's doing. He's doing what King did in reverse, if you understand what I'm saying. Don King got greedy with his son-in-law with the manager, taking, basically being a promoter and a manager. If he could have just kept doing his fucking job, you'd have what you see in UFC today. UFC used to be all bifurcated like that. Bellator over here, Pride over here. Now they got one guy at the top. They got these managers that are representing these fighters that they're the only market in town, man. So you're going to get paid what you're going to get paid. But there's no the backbiting, the gossip. These guys fight. They fight each other. They win. They lose. If it's a great
they're
fight,
not getting big purses though. That's the thing with them.
they're getting
the LDBC claims.
Listen, they're getting what the market, what the free market, right? They're getting what they're worth, and I'm not saying that in a demeaning way. I'm saying they're getting exactly what they're worth.
So
over here with this PBC bullshit, now you've got a guy circumventing the rule against being a manager representing the boxer and a promoter representing the event. You've got a guy now that's coming in through the back door as a manager, knocking the promoters out of the way.
Well, they're claiming that Bob Arum is taking 27% off the top.
Yeah, he's robbing you. The promoter's making too much money, man. He's only paying you this.
Well, that's what the PBC's claiming that Bob
That's what
Arum
all
is
managers
doing.
say. That's why they have a manager. You're trying to get top dollar for your fighter. You don't give a shit about nothing
Are
else.
you trying to bring your UFC bullshit over here, Pete?
No, I'm a boxing fan. I watch UFC. It's a good.
But when you say the UFC guys, they're paying what they're getting paid what they're worth. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I don't even know if they're getting.
That's how it has to be, Gonzalo.
Wait, hold on. How do we know that
we have a hedge fund? We have a guy borrowing from a hedge fund and throwing money at guys to basically not fight. I'm not saying they didn't fight, but they're being paid to fight, to pick cherries.
Boxers were
They're getting paid double the price to do half the work.
Boxers were getting paid more money even before the PBC. I'm not saying they were getting ridiculous amounts of money for shitty fights, but they were still getting more than what a UFC fighter gets, and that's pre-PBC though.
Yeah, it's prize fighting.
They've always
It's the top
been
of the
paid
food
more.
chain.
Yeah.
It's a
But
pure
that's the top
sport
of the food chain, though,
with your
guys.
hands.
Well,
That's the very top of the food chain, the pay-per-view market.
I think
just
so.
fighting itself. Being a
economics.
being a boxer is like the most like prestigious thing that in any sports that one fighter can be. I'm talking about the top guys. They're always going to be the guys that make the most money. Fighters, because it's a pure sport. You have to learn it when you're little, and then you compete against other fighters that can throw hands too. But there's always going to be that desire for people to see, especially the rich people.
All right, guys.
That's why they call them prize fights.
We need to take a phone call. 585, you're on the air. 585.
Yes, how you guys doing? This is Vince.
Are you eating?
Oh shit! Here we go.
All right.
Tell him, Vince. Help me out here,
We've been
man.
fighting
Screw these
400
guys
steel
up.
to this day.
Go ahead.
Sure, I just want to say, I just want to take one of Wilder's quotes, which Mr. Bucho just played.
Okay.
Till this day, I still own Mr. Recognize. I just want to piggyback off Mr. Bucho, what he said. To be honest, yes, he did not fight Mr. Povetkin. Excuse you. He didn't fight Mr. Povetkin because he tested positive, okay? And then Mr. Ortiz tested positive as well. So you cannot penalize Mr. Wilder, for, it's not his fault. Basically is what I'm saying. Thank you.
I don't think I said that, but I agree with that. Anyways, okay. Anything else, Vinny? Do you want to defend Deontay Wilder? What do you think about this heavyweight division? Is it a bad heavyweight division?
Yes, Mr. Bucho, to be honest with you, I consider Mr. Deontay Wilder as the face of boxing. I know a lot of people think his resume is not impressive, but regardless, what he's doing is unbelievable with his power, and he has the looks. Even though I don't go that way, he has that presence about him, and he's I just admire the guy. Basically.
Do you have a poster of Deontay Wilder?
Do you want to get pregnant, Vinny?
Excuse me, who's this saying if I want to get pregnant? What's your name, sir?
Pete.
Recognize the Matrix.
It's Pete.
Okay,
This is Scalebender. What's up, Vinny? What's up, Vinny Mac?
That's the
doing,
thing.
sir?
When we start idolizing
yes,
human beings to a different level.
Wait, I want to hear Vinny Mac.
Yeah.
I have a question for you, sir. I have a question for Mr. Pete.
Okay. Yeah. What do you got, buddy?
Yes. Yes. Are you making fun of me? Is it because of Mr. Deontay Wilder's #1 in the heavyweight division right now? So I would call you a hater. So, for the topic of the show, I would say, the people in the panel are haters, basically.
Oh,
Hey, I'm a boxing fan.
never
man.
been so
I like
bored.
boxing, man. Nothing against Wilder,
Hey, Vinny.
Yes. Go ahead, Mr. Bucho.
Well, I was gonna say, if you have anything else to say, because we are gonna move on. We have another phone call.
Okay. Yes. One last
Bye.
time for the people in the archive. I'm just talking to the guys in the archives. How you doing, Mr. Recognize? Yes.
Fabulous.
For the people in the archives, please buy this fight. Yes, it's $74. Black Friday's coming up, so just save your money and just put it down for this fight, please. Okay. Thank you very much.
All right.
Hey,
What's
Vinny.
the archive? What's
Vinny,
the archive?
the holidays are coming.
Till this
So
day,
I had to choose. I had to choose between the holidays and Deontay Wilder versus Ortiz, and I chose the holidays. Does that make me a bad person?
Yo, thanks for that link, Recognize. I appreciate it, bro.
No problem.
Yes, Mr. Recognize. I actually despise you for that. I just have one more thing, Mr. Bucho.
Yes.
Yes. One more thing, guys. Bomb Squad. Thank you.
To this day.
All right. Thanks for the call, Vinny.
Yo, is that
Go
Shelly
fuck yourself.
Finkel? Yo, is Vinny Mac Shelly Finkel? You heard how you just said Bomb Squad?
Yeah, he is Shelly Finkel.
Bomb Squad.
He needs to put some bass in his
Bomb
voice, right?
Squad.
805. You're on the air. 805.
Vinny Finkel.
Watch your tailpipe, Vinny. You're not gonna fall for the banana.
Go
Hey,
ahead.
Bucho. It's Mike again. I normally don't like to call twice.
That's okay.
And go up your phone line, but I could not help it when I heard Vinny Mac, dude. I was still listening in, and it's like this is exactly what I was talking about when I originally called in. It's like this is the stuff you hear. You know what I'm saying? Over and over again. It's 2019, and people are still talking about Povetkin's meldonium threshold, and the Osterine, that picogram. You know what I mean? And that's why Wilder, he's the good guy, for not fighting Povetkin, for having a, under the threshold of some non-threatening supplement, but supposedly he's juiced. Povetkin was juiced, and he could have hurt Wilder. And Wilder's trying to protect the integrity of the sport. It's just
Wilder's got the
people
look.
Vinnie
He's
Mac,
got the
dude,
look.
it's just-
He's got the look. He's got the power.
Well, they didn't want, they didn't
He
want
has
him
the
to ruin
looks,
his
like
chance
the
of getting
looks.
pregnant. So
He has that sexiness.
Wilder,
recognize-
Vada pop Wilder for in vitro medication.
Yeah, I want to see if he loses. I want to see if they're not gonna throw him under the bus, because if they throw him under the bus, it's hypocrisy. You got to stand by your fighter with regardless if he wins or
They're
loses.
gonna go. Listen, they're not gonna fucking throw him under the bus if he loses. They don't give a shit about the boxing part of it. I mean, you got to watch each fight, man. Whatever. Okay, I mean, are you a boxing fan or are you a Wilder fan? A Wilder fan's never gonna throw him under the bus. They're never gonna throw Floyd under the bus. They're never gonna throw Pacquiao under the bus. They're never.
No, they've done it. But hold on.
You're in a fucking cult. You drink the Kool-Aid.
It's the appearance of invincibility that they want.
I need to read some of the super chats. Chris K in the chat says, which panel member is actually Vinnie Mac? He's not a panelist. Virtuoso says
right here, it's Vinnie Mac, right here.
You sound like Mike Tyson.
Wilder's got the look.
Wait, hold on. Virtuoso, thank you for the contribution. He says, screw you, Vinny. I ain't paying for shit. I'm a pirate. Okay. Dr. 805, what else do you want to say?
I would just have one more request for Recognize to just kind of I don't know, bury this guy real quick, man. Just bury Vinnie Mac just before the fight. We don't want to hear any more for the rest of the week. Let Vinnie Mac jerk off to Wilder until the weigh-in, and just bury this guy while I listen in.
All right.
That's all I ask.
Hey, Vinnie Mac, if you're listening, go fuck yourself.
There you go.
I forgot to tell him that before he hung up.
Thanks for the phone call, Dr. 805. That's, by the way, that's Michael Stott. Hey, I was going to say...
Don't ever forget how I end every conversation with you. Just go fuck yourself.
Exactly.
Go somewhere.
That's his way of saying goodbye.
Yourself.
And how much he appreciates you. Guys, if Wilder loses, I think there's gonna be like mass suicides. And I'm not joking. Listen, remember 78 Sports when Lomachenko won against Rigondeaux and he said like he feels like shooting somebody?
It's got to depend on the fight, right? I mean, in other words, if Wilder goes in there, let's just say Ortiz catches him coming in, right? And let's say Wilder goes in and fights a shitty, stupid fight, comes in wide, too soon. Ortiz just keeps checking him on the way in. He's got him on De La Hoya Street, every other round. And then sooner or later, he doesn't come out of the corner because his fucking hand, he broke his hand, right? He broke his arm again. Obviously lying about it, right? All right, now if you're a boxing fan, right? Let's just say you're a Wilder fan, right?
Yeah.
But if you're a boxing fan, first and foremost, right, you're going to say, look, I'm a Wilder fan. That's some bullshit. He went in there, he fought a stupid fight. He came in with the mask, with this baby stroller, with the entry music, like, with the little mobile that goes around the crib, that twinkle box music. He got in there and he got his ass kicked, and then he didn't come out. So he lost a shitty fight. He lost, but he lost in a shitty way. They can keep it real and say that. You follow me? That's a boxing fan who happens to be a Wilder fan, but they're going to call it like they see it in the match. Now, if he goes in there and fights his ass off and loses, well, you can fucking be a Wilder fan and a boxing fan and call that like it is, right? So it's not like if he loses, they're going to like dump him and jump ship. That's going to tell you one way or the other. It's like, how does it happen?
No,
tell me what happens in the fight.
Wilder gets knocked out by Fury. Just imagine that. He gets fucking decked.
That was a good fight.
They're going to be Wilder fans. They're going to be hurt by it. Instead of just looking at it as, okay, boy lost. Maybe he could come back from this fight. Maybe not. Let the chips fall where they're made. But no, they're going to get hurt. They'll be supporting somebody else next and act like Wilder never exists. That's who they are.
They're casuals, man.
They're casual boxing fans.
Sounds like
you got the right to express yourself too. I'm not saying you should shut up. You know what I'm saying? Like Vinny can come on and tell me how good Wilder looks and he's the best thing ever. But that's right. That's his opinion. That's fine. But let me just see the fight. I don't give a shit what color you are. I don't care where you're from. I don't care who's your promoter, who's your manager, who's your what do you call it? Your like Matrix is 805, you know what I'm saying? Matrix is my man. I don't care if Dr. 805, has got this guy out of control. It doesn't matter. Like I just watched the fight.
Guys.
I don't care if they're both black, white, green.
Guys.
If it's a good boxing fight, I'm watching it, baby. I'm in.
407, you're on the air.
407. And I'm paying.
407.
Hey guys, it's Boricua over here. I just wanted to say a couple of things. I wanted to piggyback off of what Dr. 805 said about letting Vinny choke the chicken for Wilder until the weigh-in, but the thing is that's going to be when he chokes the chicken for Wilder, which I basically mean masturbate to Wilder, because Wilder's going to be shirtless or probably in his undies and all that stuff. Y'all there?
Yeah.
Oh, I got quiet for a second. My bad. And then the second thing is, as for the question y'all got for the title, it's not the best lineup for heavyweight era, but at least it gets people talking for boxing, and that's what boxing needs right now because it's been in the tough spot for a couple of years.
Okay, I think I missed your point. So, could you repeat that then? Sorry.
I'm just breaking up.
Yeah, you're breaking up. Go ahead.
Oh. It's not the best era, but at least it's got people talking, and that's what boxing needs right now because boxing's been in a tough spot these previous couple of years.
So you're saying, well, what's the saying? Bad publicity is good publicity?
Right. Yeah. It's like bad because boxing's a dying sport in America. Nobody cares for boxing except us, right? Like
exactly.
Look. Here's the difference about being a fan of someone, but you're objective. You look at it and you call it for what it is. I'm a huge boxing fan, but I understand as a boxing fan that it is, in America's eyes, not a top. It's not a top 3 sport or top 5 even problem. Okay, but I'm okay with that. So I'm not going to be butthurt because the rest of America thinks the sport that I love the most is not that important. Get what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
Lomachenko,
Oh, my
who I'm a
bad.
fan of, I'm going to give you an example. I'm a fan of Lomachenko, but I'm a fan of boxing first, meaning the technique and all the rules and everything that goes into the boxing fight. So if Lomachenko goes into a fight and loses to an opponent, it's not going to make me say, I'm not going to be butthurt in the sense that, oh, my guy is now exposed or whatever the word they want to use. I'm still going to be a fan of Lomachenko and boxing and see what he can do after a loss.
We're seeing it now, man. He lost his second fight, you know?
Yeah, I mean, well,
how do you handle it? He goes, hey,
no, he handled it fine.
That was a low blow, overweight.
No, I agree. I agree with you 100%.
You know what I'm saying? Even he goes, hey, I tried, I lost, I'll be back. And he meant it.
I'm more talking about him like taking a legit loss, like, you know, where there's no doubt whether you thought he won the fight or not. It was a close fight. Right. Well, I want to see him. I you know, as much as I like Lomachenko, it's okay with me if somebody clearly beats him because I would like to see how he reacts after that. Because you know what it is? I've seen already through my lifetime of watching boxing where guys got better. Some really good guys got better after a loss. So I'm kind of like interested in that way. Let's see if one of these guys could react well to a loss.
Mm-hmm. I mean, listen. Someone mentioned before, what if Wilder loses? Like, what? You know, basically, like, what if? Well, so what if he fucking loses? Why shouldn't he come back? You know what I'm saying? Like, why? Anytime they get even close to like a, you know, like a top 3 matchup, top 5 in the division matchup, you know, and these guys disappear for 2 years, you know what I'm saying? You don't got to jump right back in the ring. You know, I'm not saying you got to like it's not a movie, like you're not a fucking gladiator, right? But I'm saying like, damn, it's hard to even think of an example, right? Like, what's the last good fight we've seen? Like, close fight, two recent, you know, relatively top guys. There was a damn good fight. G. Yeah, Canelo Triple G, right?
Good fight.
David Triple G.
Yep, I agree.
Or Canelo, yeah. 2 rounds apart.
Yeah, Derevyanchenko Triple G, right? All right, so like, I mean, yeah, you got some age playing into that, right? But I'm saying when I see 2 guys like one of them gets clipped, you know what I'm saying? One guy wins, one guy loses, like Matrix is saying, clearly gets beat, right? The loser fucking disappears, man. For like, they keep this guy in the back office. They keep this guy in the back for like you don't even see this guy anymore, you know? Like, all right, so Gamboa, right? Not everybody's favorite fighter, not my favorite fighter. He gets in there against Crawford. He goes up a weight division, probably on the back end of his career. That was one of the most exciting fights we've seen Crawford fight in so far. Let's be real, right? I mean, he made it. He went out till the end. He wasn't going to get clowned or anything like that. He stoned Crawford's ass, getting cute with him a couple of times, and he took his shot and he went out, right? He got fucking disappears for like 3 years, you know what I'm saying? And pops up on some station you got to get with an antenna, you know what I mean? Like,
well, it depends. If that fighter wants to get rebuilt to where he still wants to be a big draw and a superstar, sometimes he can get sidelined. Depends if he has promotional issues. But it was before to where you had fighters with a lot of losses. Even sometimes, dude, when you're a fighter, like if you don't have a loss, that kind of means you haven't fought the best. You could have a few losses and still be a good fighter, or like recognize saying that you're still becoming a better fighter. We had Antonio Margarito, Glenn Johnson. We got who fought Pacquiao. A couple weeks ago.
Pacquiao.
No, the guy that beat Linares. Pablo Cesar Cano. They're good fighters. You know, they take losses, but they rebound back. And as long as they put up exciting performances, I don't think the public has any problem with seeing them fight. Now we have this aura that if you haven't lost, that's what makes me a fan because he has a certain aura about invincibility.
Hey,
and that could be kind of related to like casualism, to fanboyism.
All right, Boricua, go ahead.
But honestly, what's different for Wilder is that honestly, I feel like once he loses, that's it for him because his skill set is so crappy and so limited that like there's not much for him to improve from, especially now that he's getting a little older and stuff like that because he's almost at his mid to late 30s. and I think that's going to play an effect with his the way his body responds to heavyweight punches. And then
Yeah, it's true. That could happen if he loses, and that's probably it. But he still has a power. But he might not be looked as that dangerous anymore. But anyways, Borico, thanks for the phone call, man.
Oh, and one more thing.
Yes.
Recognize on Discord, you might hit me up with a link.
Can you repeat that?
You can recognize you might hit me up with a link.
What's your name, sir?
In private.
I'm about to switch it up into something that he'll know. I'm gonna switch it up to Jimmy Outlands.
All right. Thanks for the phone call, man.
All right, take care, guys.
Take care.
Peace, man.
That was Borico.
You know, the thing about the unbeaten record, too, by the way, is, like I said, now that you got this, like, it's not deregulation, but when you got a couple of players at the very top and then that monopoly, if you want to call it that, gets busted up and now it's like, wide ass open. Well, I don't know. An undefeated record becomes easier and easier to manipulate an undefeated.
Sorry, that was Michael Stott. Good point. Good panel
Like
tonight.
I'm not an MMA super fan, right? But what's your favorite MMA fighter, stand-up guy? Anderson Silva, Max Holloway,
John Jones, I guess.
Any of these guys, right? Like, what's their record? I don't know their fucking record is.
Nobody
Who knows
cares.
what their record
Exactly.
is?
No, that's the best example, of course.
They're going to fight. They're going to win or lose. They're going to be back. They're going to win or lose. They're going to keep getting paid to win or lose. I'm going to keep watching them win or lose. It's, I'm saying it's a sport. It's like an undefeated record.
That's kind of a good point.
If you went 50-0 in the UFC right now, starting right now and with 50-0, you're a bad motherfucker because you really don't have, you're not holding out, retiring, going to fight.
There's a difference with that though, Pete. There's a difference, and I'm not trying to go against your point, but the thing with that is when UFC, you got a whole lot of things going on with kicks and punches. There's many styles of boxing, and the pure sport of boxing is you train with one thing, and that's two hands, and you develop. And you become a good fighter to when you're competing against other boxers at the top level. Yeah, you want to sell your you don't want to sell it cheap. You're going to go out there and compete. That's basically what I want to say. It doesn't mean that you can't take a loss, but in the UFC, it's just a little different. That's why it's seen like that. There's many things going on with the feet and hands.
Soccer, football, UFC, anywhere there's one person in charge, one commission there's one game in town, there's one promoter. The NFL's a promoter. The NBA, they're a promoter. They're putting on the show. Those to go on an undefeated season, to go 14-0 in the NFL is like popping champagne at a dynasty. You know what I'm trying to say?
Right. There you go.
In other words, you have to fight. You have to play every team on your schedule in your division every year. There's no, I'm not going to play New England. I'll play them later. I'm going to duck out of here. I'm going to go play over here for this league. No, you're scheduled to play New England in 2 weeks. You're going to fucking play New England. That's it. If you can go through the whole entire season undefeated, where you have to fight the best or play the best, not the best. There's no ducking, dodging, weaving, retiring, PBC, holdouts, mandatories, franchise champs. I'm the franchise champ now, so I don't got to play the playoffs. I'm just going to play the Super Bowl. I'll be there for the Super Bowl. I'm not going to play the playoffs. Fuck you talking about, franchise champ? Have you lost your mind?
And it's not like let's say the Golden State Warriors beat the Heat, that the Heat sucks, or whatever.
Yeah, you see towards the end it gets fucking the best or World Series. Name your sport. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
yeah.
Again, when there's one person in charge, one or two, you got a lot better fights. I don't know what they got paid. Boxing hasn't been the highest paid sport. How do I say this? Boxing hasn't been the world sport in a long, long time, long before the 80s. I mean, revenue-wise and all this, if you collect it all together, these NFL, the NBA, every sport, boxing's they're not the highest paid total revenue sport in a long time, guys. But they got paid what they were worth with no artificially inflating a fighter's salary with a loan from a company that's making a knowingly bad investment. You follow me? It's like this guy paid these guys double to work less.
Yeah.
I guess you can't blame him for taking it, but at the end of the day, you know, it's short-sighted.
Michael Stott in the chat, thank you for your contribution. He said, good panel tonight, gravitational conversation. All right, thank you for the contribution. We have 100% X in the chat, says, I'll bury that poodle alive, Luffy. What are you guys talking about? And X, get the hell out of here, man. We don't need your kind here.
Yeah. I had a dream that Lobito got lost. He was MIA and Michael Stott found him. So thank you for that.
Thank you for that. All right. All right. Guys, we're going to end the show. It's been 3 hours. So thank you for joining us. Everybody in the panel, in the chat. Guys, don't forget to like the fucking video, man. Hit the like button. All right. And check out our, what is it? Discord group. The link is in the description. Discord, we have a 24/7 chat going on there, so come hang out with us on Discord. All right.
Hey fellas, let me ask y'all a question real quick. Sorry.
What's the question?
What's today? Thursday?
Yes, sir.
Oh, so this fight's this Saturday, huh? Holy shit! Is there gonna be a show tomorrow?
Yeah, probably. I mean, depends on what time I get here, but yeah.
Nice.
I might do it a bit later than tonight. So maybe 6 p.m., 7 p.m. Eastern time.
All right, cool, guys. Thanks for
All right,
having me.
take care.
Sorry I took so long getting on, fellas.
Yep. Thank you, Pete. Thank you, Gonzalo. Thank you, Recognize. Mark. Revolucion was in here. Everybody who supported the show via the super chat. Thank you very much. Your name will go up on the ticker. See you tomorrow.